all set.
Guy Sports Night. Yeah. Guy Sports Night. Yeah. Are you ready? We are ready. Are you ready? We are ready. You are ready, you know. Will and Ed in the chair, you already know. From off-season grind to that postseason glow. We talk all sports all the time, let it roll. From the OHIO to the rest of the globe. It's the Sports Night anthem for the guys, for the crew. Hottest topics on the table, we coming straight to you. Nothing off limits, every take, every show. Don't just listen, join in. Are you ready? Let's go!
All right. Greetings, everybody. Welcome to Guys Sports Night. Tonight, we got a special event as it's pre-draft show. We've got quite a few analysts from all over the country. Tonight, the fans are running the show, running the draft. Let's hope we don't end up like most of our GMs and fired. I'm going to start in the order on my screen. I'm not sure if it's in the order of yours, but if you guys want to just start out, just introduce yourself, name of your show, and in the description, if you guys are following along, make sure you like, subscribe to all of the channels. They're listed down there so you can get a hold of everybody. But let's start out with you, Taylor. What's happening?
Yeah, this is Taylor of the Electric Edge podcast. I host a LA Chargers fan podcast. So I talk all things Chargers. I do vlogs going to games, and I'll do a vlog since I'm in Pittsburgh right now. So I'll do a vlog of the draft coming out this week too.
Awesome. Well, appreciate you joining us. And then who is next? My eyes are not big enough to see the screen, so I apologize. I see the Kansas City jersey. That's all I'm. Hold on.
That's all you need to see, baby. Don't even go no further. It's that big George, baby. They done ran
Are you Big George then?
That's the one and only, baby. That's all they call me.
I love it.
Look, Big George from the 5 Count podcast with my counterpart, John. As you see, we kind of do something a little funny with the names. Of course, we kind of take our names and make them a larger version of themselves. As you can see, as a bigger version of Andy Reid, I am Candy Reid today. So, of course, as I lock in, sports is what we do. So we talk, mostly football. We got some baseball, hockey in there. But, of course, the love of football is always prevalent. As you see, we ride with who we ride with, and we've been riding with them for a long time, and it's been a long time coming. So hopefully y'all come see us and on our podcast and show us, so a little bit of love too.
Awesome.
For sure.
Eric, what's up, man? I see you are the rival of us here in Cleveland, rocking the Pittsburgh gear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Tell us a little about yourself, man.
Yeah, the name is Dudek. My partner and I, GB, we do the Berg Cave. It is mostly 80-90% football, and we also talk about pit football as well. Do some Pirates and such. We do a lot of some beer reviews. It's basically like a man cave theme podcast, and like I said, we like to present a little bit different perspective of football. We like to say, we don't want to fire everybody after every loss. We don't want to trade everybody after everything. So it's like a little bit more of the level-headed, football talk. But we also like to have fun and jab at each other as well too. So hope everybody checks us out, later on.
Yeah, absolutely, man. All right, Chris, you're up next. Tell us a little about yourself. I see you rocking that Giants gear. You guys made some big news this week.
Yeah, I know, right? Not too much of a change in the draft plan, right? Getting the 10th pick. But yeah, how's everyone doing? New York Sports Talk is the YouTube channel name, and Chris NYY28 is my handle across social media. So it's all New York sports stuff, mainly Yankees and Giants. That's kind of my two main passions that we're talking about there. And you can find the live streams that I do on my YouTube, and the best parts of it are kind of all across social media, TikTok, Instagram, all those things. So really excited to be here, man.
Awesome. Well, we appreciate you being here as well. And then I believe I've got Scott there in the corner. Is that right?
John Fatimir Guerrero Jr. I just read his name.
There we go.
I told you to do something with the name.
John the Big George. That's the one I'm not getting in. Unfortunately, he's not showing up in the service. But what's going on, man?
Good. I'm John Edwards. Not only are you representing the United States, I am the Canadian representative tonight.
Oh, so we got an international guy here today.
Yeah, that's right. There you go. I live about an hour and a half north of Toronto. And George and I started the podcast, and we like talking all sorts of sports, obviously football and baseball, basketball. I'm big in MMA, of course, hockey, even though my team's terrible. But we enjoy it, and I'm happy to be here. It's just exciting.
Well, you know what? Being in Cleveland, I appreciate you being here. You could have easily no-showed after like the Raptors have in the first couple of games of the series.
It's all right. It's all right. Hey, listen, we're heading in the right direction with the organization. We're heading in the right direction. That's all.
Yeah. Not this week, but all right.
Not this week. No. Overall.
To be fair, also, John, you guys did just win a championship like 7 years ago.
Oh yeah, we're not. Believe me,
still very relevant. Like
you guys are Browns fans, so I can not with the Chiefs, but I'm a Toronto Maple Leafs fan, and we haven't won the Stanley Cup since 1967.
Brother, we're Columbus Blue Jackets fans. Okay, this is pain territory that we live in.
Listen, you guys still beat us in the playoffs, but I understand pain, and I know how to be patient. But 7 years, that's fantastic. So we'll take that. I'll happily take it.
Awesome. Well, it looks like a little bit late, but better late than never. We've got Scott. What's going on, man? Welcome aboard. Are you able to hear us okay?
Hey, how's it going, guys? Good to see everyone. I can hear you. I think my connection's pretty bad. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. You're a little bit delayed.
Am I blocking out?
You know what? Your face is there. You're just a little bit behind. Just tell the kids to stop gaming. They're gonna have to put the PlayStation down. You got more important things to do right now. Oh, there he goes again.
Yeah, there we go. It's all good.
Sorry, Scott. Hopefully you get that squared away, man. I'll keep an eye on it, though. But that was a second Giants fan we were going to have in here, so hopefully he's at least tuning in, and we'll see from there. For you guys listening, please make sure, once again, you like, subscribe to the Guy Sports Night, as well as some of the other channels that you can see here. All listed below.
You kind of forgot one person.
Who?
Me.
Oh,
just kind of skipped right over me. Just went right into it.
It's so easy to do.
Okay. Okay. All right. Well, hi guys. I'm Ed. I'm the co-host of this fucking podcast. God, I just want respect. All right. That's all I want. Okay. This is all I have right now. Okay. Well,
he's the Rodney Dangerfield of this podcast. I get no respect.
No,
Christ, I will not be little brothered on my own fucking podcast right now. Okay, I want my restitutions. Okay.
Oh my God. All right. Restitutions. Welcome, Lord. Welcome everybody else. Appreciate you guys joining. All right, let's get into the first segment. We're all here because of the NFL draft this week. We've all got our teams that we're cheering for. And we're all in the top 10 except Pittsburgh. But don't worry, you guys are going to be here soon enough.
The Chargers are.
We hear it every year.
Oh, you're right. I'm sorry for Chargers. I'm not even thinking straight. So let's
we'll probably trade out of the first round at this point. So,
well, you know what? I'm interested on your take on that because we pick at 24, and to me, the 24th pick is I'd rather have second and third round picks than the 24th pick because I feel like it's like a no man's land this year for the draft. But what's your thoughts on what the Chargers' strategy is going to actually be this year? What you wish it was going to be, and let's start off there.
Yeah, best case scenario, they take an offensive lineman, particularly a guard. I love Vega Ioane to fall to 22, but I just don't think it's going to happen at this point. I'd definitely be okay with an edge rusher since Odafe Oweh went to Washington. But I can also see the Chargers, if they think their guy isn't there and they can get some value out of the second and third rounds, trading that 22nd overall pick. I've seen possibly trading with Arizona. So Arizona goes and gets Ty Simpson. So I'd be okay with any of those scenarios at this point, but I am hoping in rounds one or two, they take an offensive lineman, considering we've had the worst offensive line in the NFL last year.
That's because no one was healthy, though.
Yeah,
you just need a healthy offensive line.
18 different offensive line combinations.
Yeah,
Alt goes down during the year. Slater goes out in the preseason. Injuries are part of it, but it's something when you let your $250 million quarterback can take consistent hits week after week.
Yeah, and that's one of those things though. It's like, do you overdraft because of injuries to two of some of the best offensive linemen in football at the tackle positions, which really weakens the entire line, or Does it become best player available? And you're right. I mean, the couple of guards that are out there, who knows if they're going to fall that far, but I do think that there's a chance that offensive linemen are going to fall to the later end of this round. I think that top 10, 12 picks is going to be offensive lineman free, despite what everybody kind of would say. Kansas City, you guys are not accustomed to being inside the top 10. What do you see kind of happening, and what do you guys want to happen?
I mean,
George, you go first.
Oh yeah, oh absolutely. But no, so the Chiefs this year, I think this is a big defensive year for us because of course we have a lot of holes on defense, a lot more on defense than we would on offense, I would say. Simply because of course I feel like the defense has lost a lot of pieces. I mean, we lost Brian Cook to the Bengals. I don't want to talk about that. And then we lost a couple other defensive players. And it's just like, at this particular point, we definitely need to draft defense. And of course, the Ruben Bain is keep popping up. And the one thing about Ruben Bain is we would love to take him at 9. But the obvious thing is there are 8 teams ahead of us that can use a Ruben Bain. In no matter what position that you want to go ahead and switch somebody around and take them. At 9, Ruben Bain is kind of hard to get. So trading up with the Cardinals has been a thing. That's been something that's floated around a couple times. And then, of course, just like saying, it kind of, not to jump the gun a little bit, but it kind of matters what New York does. I feel like New York could fuck this draft all the way up with those picks. And I'm not going to lie to you.
Right? That's what New Yorkers do, right?
And what's funny about that? Like, I feel like it's one of those situations where, like, you saw the trade happen. And we were like, yes, the trade happened. Dexter Lawrence finally got his team. We don't think about what happens on the back end of that. Now you got the New York Giants with 2 top 10 picks, and we don't know where they want to go. I mean, in my ideas, like I say, we want Ruben Bain, but there's a lot of pieces that have to move for us to even get that. And I think, the opportunity to trade up to 3 with Arizona gives us the opportunity to get a David Bailey or Ruben Bain or potentially an Arvell Reese if you want to switch out and, play a little bit of a different role at that particular point. Even though I don't think he does, I think he's just a linebacker through and through. At the end of the day, I do feel like that edge help is something that we seriously need.
Yeah, I mean, the Giants did, and we're going to get to Christian a little bit because I'm interested in his take and what he thinks. But the Giants did put a damper on, not a damper, but they really made that first round kind of their bitch in a sense, right? Like at number 5, I mean, them going defense really affects the second half of the top 10. Them going offense only makes it easier for the back half of the top 10 to get the best defensive player available because you could easily have a rush. They're talking about Tennessee maybe going with Tate now all of a sudden. They're talking about then New York going with Tyson, and then all of a sudden there's no receivers left in the top 10, but that whole back 10's got Sonny Styles fall into it maybe, or like you said, Arvell Reese, Ruben Bain. I don't think Ruben Bain gets enough credit. It's actually great to hear somebody else that's like would be excited about putting him on their team because the dude's a beast.
With Spagnola? Are you kidding me?
That would be good.
All right, Pittsburgh. Let's hear what's going on with you guys. So obviously, I mean, this is an opportunity for me to get to talk a little smack. I mean, you guys are going on the back half of a 70-year-old man walking into a party right now between Aaron Rodgers as your quarterback, a receiver who's kind of a nut job. You guys did make the trade for Pittman, but the defense is also kind of on its way on the downslide. So you guys are starting to kind of have to rebuild without rebuilding, or since Tomlin's gone, do you guys just say this is the year to scratch it and get a quarterback next year?
No quarterback this year, please. I think the needs are offensive, or basically now the left side of the offensive line. I mean, and GB and I were talking about offensive tackle for a while because we didn't know how Broderick Jones was going to come back from his neck fusion surgery. So we don't know how he's going to heal. So I know that the media just put out that he had a setback. I don't think he had a setback at all. It's just, he had surgery. I do like Vega for, if he falls this year, I do think that's their pick. I also wouldn't mind seeing him grab that wide receiver 3. Like Omar Cooper Jr. is my dude. I'm on the record of saying I think in 2 or 3 years he's going to end up being the best receiver in this draft.
I love that tape. I love that tape.
Scratching the tape. I think he reminds me so much of a young Deebo Samuels, and his balance is great. The catch that he made against Penn State just shows the body control. This kid is absolutely an absolute stud.
I would
but
have almost said a more like a Antonio Brown style receiver. I thought you were going to come out with that comparison.
No, I don't honestly no. That in my opinion, that's not even a close comparison. Antonio Brown is a top 5 talent ever. He's just a knucklehead.
No Santonio Holmes reference there. I mean,
no, not that. But I do like.
I mean,
you know what? I think that you're going to have to choose between Vega and Omar Cooper Jr. I don't think any of those two would go to the second round. But like someone like Jeremy Bernard would be a good second round pick. Him and Cooper fit that slot mold that I like the Steelers to have to go along with Metcalf and Pittman and the big outside guys, even though Pittman does play the slot a little bit. But then there's offensive tackle. There's a little bit of depth up the middle. I'm talking about there's a lot of safeties that we have. Ramsey's a little bit older, but he's still playing pretty well at safety. But there's also a lot of one-year contracts in the safety position. So I can see the Steelers addressing that. And I will say this, and I'll let everyone else go. They have 12 picks. We have 12 picks this year. They're not picking 12 players.
Where are the majority of your picks lie? I didn't even realize you guys had 12 picks.
So we got their first and second. We have 3 thirds, 2 fourths, 5th, 2 sixths, and 3 sevenths.
Wow, 3 thirds. That's the sweetheart of this draft.
It's a lot of ammo to move on.
Yeah, it's five in the top 99.
Yeah, I could build my defensive line in that third round. I'm excited about the third round. We'll get into that when we talk about our top 5 mid-round guys. All right, Chris, New York. You got 2 picks inside the top 10 right now. And we've got to follow Giants fans. Scott's finally back, and he looks crystal clear now. So
finally alive.
When we get to you, Scott, we'll have you reintroduce yourself. Tell us a little about your show. But Chris, let's fire it off, man. What do you think the Giants are going to do? What's the rumor and the buzz there in New York? But more importantly, what do you want them to do?
Yeah, I think the Giants are in a little bit of a different position than kind of the other teams here, like Steelers, Chargers, obviously, teams that made the playoffs last year, and the Chiefs obviously have been, they finished top 10 because Mahomes tore his ACL and a lot of other things happened. But the Giants, to me, just need to take the best players. And I know that's like a kind of a cliche, but it's kind of like Cleveland. Like, you're just in talent acquisition mode. Like, the Giants are not a roster that is near, Super Bowl contention, of course. And they might not even be near contention for a division title with how good the Eagles are and how good the Cowboys are. So to me, it's best player available. I know you mentioned Jordan Tyson. There's a ton of rumors about Jordan Tyson. Our GM, Joe Shane, went out to the workout that he had, I think last Friday, where he worked out for teams, and he's getting a ton of buzz now in the top 5 to top 10 of the draft. I personally can't see that at number 5. I think John Harbaugh's first pick for the Giants is going to be more of a kind of a tone-setting pick, more of a leader on the team, not necessarily an outside receiver who's had injury concerns. I'm not saying I'd be against Tyson maybe with the 10th pick. I just think 5 is too rich for him because I just think there's better players. And even if the Giants need a receiver, like I said, you've got to take the best player available at these picks. So to me, like, and we'll get to it at some point probably, like, my guy is Caleb Downs. Like, I just think Caleb Downs is, you say what you want about the measurables, but this guy has just been like one of the best players in college football for the last 3 years. And the Giants don't have anything in the secondary that they can write home with. You put him in the secondary, he's a captain, he's a leader of the defense. He can come up kind of immediately. One of his weaknesses is in pass protection or pass coverage, but he can come up and stop the run almost immediately and help in that area as a box safety. I'm just really bullish on him, and I really hope they pick him number 5 overall, honestly.
Yeah, I got you. Dude, I'm right there with you as far as Downs goes.
He's arguably the best talent. He's arguably the best defensive player in the country.
Yeah.
And arguably the best defensive player in the whole entire draft.
Yeah, I mean, we've done probably 5 mock. I think we're on 5.0 now for our Cleveland Browns mock draft. And I think for the first 4, I had Caleb Downs. I just recently changed that. But I don't think any team could go wrong with putting a top solid safety. I mean, some of the best teams in the league have had defenses led by powerful safeties, right? Regardless of where you have to take them. All right. Next up, I've got John, the other half of the 5 Count podcast. Let's hear what you were hoping for, sir.
Listen, I think I want an impact player at 9. I think for the Chiefs, Bain would fit that description. So I'm big on him. I just think with Spagnuolo's defense, him on the other side of George Karlaftis with Chris Jones in the middle, I think that's tough. George talked about moving up. This is my one of my dream scenarios. It's probably not going to happen, but is I'd like to see the Chiefs take a pass catcher, but I'd like to see him move up and somehow get Kenyon Sadiq at Oregon, because I think putting his talent and pairing him next to the greatest tight end that's ever played the game, a guy who's willing to give his knowledge too, willing to teach, willing to help. I think that would really help him, and I think we could get a real player. But the Chiefs have 9 picks. Obviously 3 in the top 40, and but we have a lot in the 5, and we have 3 5s and 6, and that's where Brett Veach does his work. Brett Veach built the Super Bowl team off getting guys in the 7th round. So I think that's why I'm excited about this draft, is because we got one of the best GMs in football, and he's got a lot to work with. So I'm pumped for it.
Yeah, it's interesting. You mentioned moving up to get Sadiq. Actually, in our last mock, we just did a mock last week with a couple of guys, and at number 9, I thought the Chiefs were going to take Sadiq. I still don't think that's off the table. What do you guys think? Do you think that's too high as a Chiefs fan?
Not if Bain's on the board, because I think to me, if Bain's on the board, you got to take we need the edge rusher. But I wouldn't be disappointed in it. I just don't think they take him there. I think they could move down to like 12, 13, 14.
You think like Eli Stowers would be on the table in the 2nd round at some point then, if you really wanted to just grab a tight end?
What's that?
I said, would you want to grab like an Eli Stowers from Vanderbilt?
Yeah, that'd be fine too. I think they're going to take a tight end, but I don't necessarily. He's just kind of the dream sequence, but I think they're definitely going to take a tight end. One mock draft had the kid from Cincinnati, which would have been hilarious in the 5th round.
We just did a top player analysis on him. Oh my God, what is his name? It's not Jake Leday. He's a linebacker from Cincinnati.
Yeah, I can't remember off the top of my head.
God, that's gonna annoy me now.
Oh, okay.
Ohio State transfer, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Didn't he come from Ohio State? 4-star recruit. Yeah. All right. Let's get over to Scott. Sorry, Scott. Tell us name of your podcast too, brother. You missed the intro there, but I want to get you involved. And then you're the Giants team as well, right?
I am. So yeah, we're in year 7 of our podcast. It's 3 angry Giant fans and a Jet fan. So while you suffer misery with the Browns, we get dual misery with the Giants and Jets. And I could have stayed off the pod because the live stream, because Chris pretty much nailed it. He said everything I was going to say about Caleb Downs being the guy. I think if Sonny Styles is there, there's a conversation to be had about picking him, 2 Ohio State guys there. But there's a scenario where the Giants get 1 at 5 and 1 at 10 possibly. And, I think we'll talk about that a little bit later as we go on. But thanks for having me on. This is great.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's a pleasure to have all you guys on. Obviously, us in Cleveland.
It for sure.
Yeah, it's a blast.
Joe Royer is the name. Joe Royer out of Cincinnati.
Yeah. I thought for sure I was going to pull one of those sequences where like I'm in the shower late tonight at like 9:30. I'm like, oh shit, that's who I was talking about.
We'll make sure that doesn't happen.
That's when he does most of the thinking about men. And
now why do you got to do that? Why do you got to do
Pause.
that? Pause. Indeed. Pause. Redacted comment. That's disavowed completely.
Oh man. It's funny. Everybody has these different opinions, and then like obviously when you're looking at somebody else's team, it's easy to have an opinion because you don't care as much, you're not as involved. But here in Cleveland, it's funny how every analyst that looks at us and like, oh, they're going to take a wide receiver and a tackle. It's like the ideal scenario. Either they overdraft a tackle at 6 and then draft whatever wide receivers left, or they get the best receiver and they draft whatever tackles left, or vice versa. I've gone on the record, like, as in New York, yes, we have a very talented defense. Would it win a Super Bowl with most teams out there and any decent quarterback? Probably. But you can never not add talent when you have the 6th overall pick. And when you have the 6th overall pick, I think it's best player available. And what does that mean? I mean, it means the most likely not to bust. In Andrew Berry's case, I think he needs to walk away with at least 4 legit starters like he did last year in order to have a chance at drafting a quarterback next season.
I think the same thing kind of goes with what the Steelers have. They have 12 picks. We have 10 or 11.
Yeah,
I'm doubtful that we make all 10 or 11 selections at that point.
No, and as am I, but I do think that we'll get into draft a little bit, especially mid-round prospects. I'm interested to hear you guys' opinions, but I think the mid-round, like rounds 2 through 4, is really where like the bread and butter we talked about, the meatiest and potato.
Yeah, it's a meat and potatoes draft. It's a meat. I call it. So the reason I deem this is it's a meat and potatoes draft. Okay, because there's very slim selection of blue chip 5-star talented players in this class. This is the class that all the talent is going to come from later on in this draft. Okay, it's going to come from the later in the second to your earliest in the fifth at that point. But all of those players, they weren't the most talented players on their team. They weren't the most highly recruited athletes at that point, but they're going to make up some great holes that are need to be filled on certain teams. Okay, they're not going to be the most talked about prospects in this class. I mean, I get the hype and why media wants to hype a lot of these kids up, because obviously it just makes everybody else look better and a genius if they hit on it. And, and they can, pretty much sit back and say, oh, well, I mean, he really wasn't that special if they miss on him. Whereas it really, again, it's just a plug and play type of player with not a big star name to him. That's where I think a lot of these players are going to come from.
That might be the case, but when you have the 6 picks, you can't have that. I don't think.
I'm not saying specifically in this first round, though. There's a lot of talented players. I mean, at any point, there's going to be 15 to 20 at least talented blue chip players in a draft.
Sure.
I just don't think there's that much in this class. There's maybe 10.
So,
don't die. We need to finish this.
The big buzz around us too is obviously the ability to trade down. I don't see the benefit of a trade down. I know they're talking about the Chiefs possibly moving up with the Cardinals. They're still inside the top 10. It makes sense. I don't see the benefit for Cleveland or any team that's in the top 10 to move out into the mid-teens in this draft, because I feel like that mid-teens is like, it's literally la-la land. But then again, what do we know? All these players will probably get drafted in spots that none of us expect, and somebody's going to draft a guy that nobody's heard of at like pick 12, and they're going to turn into all-pro linebacker like the Seahawks do when they randomly draft high. So we'll see what happens. All right, so let's move into the mock draft scenario of your guys' teams. You guys have all kind of created your first 3-round mock draft, ideally. I don't know if you guys did trades, you did draft picks. We'll let you guys kind of throw that out there, but let's get back to you in San Diego. Taylor, what are you hoping these guys are going to do in these first 3 rounds?
Yeah, so I did my perfect 3 picks. I didn't trade back in the scenario. Round 1, if he falls, it's Vega Ioane, guard out of Penn State. A no-brainer. If he's at 22, the Chargers need to take him. Round 2 is a guy that has already met with the Chargers, is Gabe Yakus out of Illinois, edge rusher. He had 12 total sacks last year, 3 forced fumbles. Like I said, he's met with the staff already, so I can see him going around 2, fill that edge rusher position. And then my 3rd round pick, I have safety Kamari Ramsey out of USC. I think that the Chargers do need to add some pieces to the secondary at this point. Local kid out of USC has met with the Chargers as well. I think he could be a cool piece in this Chris O'Leary defense, which is very similar to the Jesse Minter defense. Can use him in pass coverage, have Derwin James able to come up to the line of scrimmage. So I think he's very versatile in this defense. So if those are my 3 perfect picks at this point, that's where I'd go 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, I love that Ramsey pick. I'm a huge USC fan. I don't know if you are as well, being out there on the West Coast. I know you're in Las Vegas, so
yeah. No, I'm actually, I don't watch too much college football. I didn't go to a big college school, so it's, I'll watch when it's on TV, but I don't have a specific team.
Right on. But yeah, Ramsey's a great safety / nickel type of safety that can kind of play all over the secondary and give you guys a lot of flexibility, especially playing with a veteran like Derwin James. So I like that pick. If that guard falls to you guys all at 22, I think the Chargers literally stumble and trip and fall to turn in that card. That would be, heaven set. But is there other holes that you guys feel that you guys have on that roster as a fan when you look at it as because wide receiver, do you guys really have a solid wide receiver too? Can you count on Quentin to put up the kind of season he did this year, next year?
Yeah, there's been a lot of talk as if the Chargers do take a wide receiver in the first round. I don't think it's going to happen that early, but last year they drafted 2 wide receivers. They took Trey Harris out of Ole Miss. They took Keandre Lambert-Smith out of Auburn. You still have Quentin Johnson. Ladd McConkey had a down year last year. You have Oronde Gadsden back. They signed Charlie Kolar, which didn't get a fair shot in Baltimore with catching, but he can catch the ball. So I think they have a lot of pieces. There's been talk about finding that number 1 guy. So I can see possibly in the second round. I just think that there's other needs to be filled in the first round, whether it's on the offensive line or defensive line, they're going to go. Some other positions I've heard about are defensive tackle, but they signed Dalvin Tomlinson, gave Tier Tart a big contract over the offseason. So I don't think they're going to burn their first round pick on a defensive tackle. And then, like I said, I think there's some need in the secondary. Ben St. Juste went to Green Bay. I think there's another corner that needs to be filled on the secondary. So those are kind of the top pieces. Offensive line, defensive line, maybe a wide receiver, and some help in the secondary at this point.
Makes sense. Yeah, and cornerback's one of those spots in the first round where like you might think there's only 2 or 3 guys, and then suddenly 6 or 7 of them get drafted for various different reasons. And there's a couple there at the top that I really like. Especially, you guys play a lot of man-to-man coverage, if I'm not mistaken, out there. Or do you guys play zone?
We play a lot of zone. I think when I looked at it, it was like 80% zone.
Gotcha.
Jesse and Chris O'Leary is a disciple from Jesse Minter, so it's going to be basically the same defense this year.
Right on, right on. All right, Big George, let's get to you and this Chiefs. What's now? You guys didn't collab on this. You guys got 2 separate mock drafts, right? You and John.
It will be the same. It won't be the same because, of course, I feel like we have a lot of the same ideas as far as where we draft and what we draft, but it's kind of different as far as what we want. Me personally, I'm not we need an offensive tackle person at all because I think that's the stupidest thing for the Chiefs to do right now, especially with us investing so much money in the tackle room already. It's kind of not necessarily a good deal, but I think we can wait next year. The thing about offensive linemen is, as a former offensive lineman, I know it's a lot of us fat fuckers out there. So, we have to kind of keep it a little bit a reasonable thing. Like, the one thing about offensive line is you can't teach big. So there's always going to be somebody bigger. There's always going to be somebody stronger, just slightly faster because there's never really, a 4-3, 4-4 lineman. So, at that particular point, there's nothing but defense that we need right now. We need defense and wide receivers and a little bit of running back help. I would say a little bit of running back help because, of course, we can add a little bit of depth to the room. That's later on in the draft, so I'm not worried about that in the first rounds. But like I say, 9, I'm going with Bain. And then at 29, I can see if Sadiq for some reason drops because it seems like a lot of teams who need a tight end aren't necessarily looking for one. But at the same time, it's like, in the draft, you do have a couple tight ends who can kind of go in the early rounds. It's just not a lot of them. So that Kenyon Sadiq, if we can get somebody like that at 29, I will be happy with it. I'm also happy with a defensive tackle and trying to, fill some depth there. Colton Hood is a good name to kind of throw out there, of course. I just feel like some of these picks that we actually have, they're a lot higher than what we actually had in the last few years. So it's kind of tough to even say this is the right decision, this is the wrong decision. I do not see us trading out of the first round, but I also don't see us keeping all of our picks either. I do think we trade 40 and package it with 29 to kind of move up, maybe to get a Sadiq or something like that in those middle rounds of this first round. But that's, where I land with that. And the only thing about 9 is I'm kind of open to 9 because I kind of have to see what is left at 9 before I move off 9. Because if you think about it, everybody can take anybody. We don't honestly know who's actually going in that first round other than Fernando Mendoza. Let's be honest. Like, the Giants could easily take Caleb Downs and then everybody else is looking for a defensive end. Arvell Reese can either not go to the Jets and end up going to the Cardinals. The Cardinals can either trade out the first round altogether. So these scenarios are so hard to kind of come to. But like I say, what I want at 9, Ruben Bain Jr., come fall to me. And then at 29, let's package that up to go ahead and get Kenyon Sadiq.
Right on, right on. All right, let's it's funny, we talked about it, especially at 9, you're really sitting there in no man's land. If you want to get somebody specific, you are going to have to make a move to get up there. I'm interested who they would target at 3. So if you were like, as a Chiefs fan, with the talk of them recently discussing a move up to 3, who do you think they're targeting with that pick?
Bailey.
It's easily Bailey at that particular point.
So
you get up to 3.
You think they're hoping that Reese is going to be the pick for the Jets?
The Jets have no choice but to pick Reese. If they pick anybody else, that just means that their franchise is nowhere close to being exactly what they want to be. If you think about it, they've done way too much in the offseason for that defense to not actually need a defensive leader because everybody that they picked up is not going to be a defensive leader. They picked up Jeremiah Johnson, and he's going to be a defensive end. We got a couple linebackers here and there that are not necessarily 100% jumping off the page for you. So you need somebody who's going to come down and stop the run. And stop it consistently and stop it often because y'all are getting everybody. Look, there's teams who don't run the ball who look at the Jets and say, I'm going to run the ball. Who's your running back? I'm going to run the ball is the answer because it doesn't really matter because at the end of the day, the Jets have nobody, playing sideline to sideline for them as far as their linebackers go. They had a couple linebackers last year that would kind of, make a few tackles here and there. But it wasn't anything that would jump off the page for you saying that that's a player that I would see that the Jets can never move off of. Everybody last year was, tradable.
Yeah, I guess I look at, well, one, obviously they got rid of their stars on the defensive side of things, so it leaves them open. You assume they're going to go defense, but frankly, who knows? They're built to really, they could do whatever they want, because in the next, what, they've got 16 in addition this year to 33 and 44, and then next year they've got 3 first-round picks and possibly 2 seconds, I believe. So,
yeah.
I mean, realistically, they could.
They're in that 14 bubble for me. Like,
yeah, for them,
they're going to take our values, especially for the fact that they've already traded Jermaine Johnson for Trevondre Sweat from the Titans.
I'm telling you right now, I think the Jets are going to throw everybody off. I watched them take Ruben Bain and just really
watch they take Jeremiah Love after they just gave the franchise tag to our Breece Hall.
I do.
You know what? That'd be actually good for them if they would actually pick up Jeremiah Love. Think about this: they pick up Jeremiah Love, they got a 2-headed running back monster. Now they can go ahead and trade away whatever ones cost the most. Of course, the Jets won't do that because that makes more sense than anything to actually do. Let's go ahead and get up off a player that everybody wanted and get some picks for him, get some money for him. Let's do that. But no, they're going to draft somebody who they're going to ruin. All right. So that's just what they do. They're going to draft somebody that they're going to ruin. So, like I say, I put them in that 14 bracket to where you really don't know what they're going to do. It's like the Browns, the Chargers. I hate for y'all to be here at the same time, but it's just like y'all are in that bubble. Like, it really doesn't matter what y'all do in that first round because y'all really need more depth than anything rather than, a specific type of player. Y'all need more depth at every position. So it's like, okay, y'all can do anything. The Chargers can do anything. Arizona can do anything. And some of them can still make any move and still be bad teams. Like the Jets can make any move right now and still be a bad team because I know for a fact that one piece that they need, they're not targeting, and that's a quarterback. So, we're here.
I wish we had a Cardinals fan on here, even though I know they don't exist.
I was trying to get a Cardinals and a Miami fan because I'm trying to figure out what Miami is thinking when going out and buying a quarterback and then getting rid of all your weapons and just completely depleting your entire roster. But you know what?
I would love to know what Cardinals fans, honestly, and even NFC West teams think of the Cardinals draft and like trading back into the first round to get Ty Simpson, whether it's 22, 24. Using 33 on him if he's there. I mean,
I think it's all smoke. I think it's all smoke.
I think it'd work out though.
Let's get to this draft because I do want to kind of review the draft and just all the rumors that are going on right now. But let's get over to Eric over there in Pittsburgh. So what's your 3-round mock draft? What do you got hoping the Steelers are going to do?
So you're going to look at the first 2 rounds here. The Steelers need impact players at 21 and 53, which is the first and second rounds. And I think the 2 positions that can get that impact are offensive guard and wide receiver. So dream scenario, and I'm going to flip them because I'll take either one of these. Omar Cooper in the first and Keelan Rutledge, guard from Georgia Tech, in the second.
Good pick.
Or if Vega falls, you take Vega and then you try to come back and get Jeremy Bernard out of Alabama. But I've also heard a lot of good things about Bell, the UConn receiver as well too. But I think he could be had in the third round as well, right? But let's say we grab one of those 2. Cooper, Rutledge, or Vega and Bernard. And then in the third round with the first pick, like I said, the Steelers
real quick, hey, I don't mean to cut you off. What picks do you guys have in the third round? Do you know the numbers?
76, 85, and 99.
Wow. That's right where I need to be for all 3 of my defense.
So what I said about the Steelers having up the middle, whether it's a little bit of age or short contracts at middle linebacker, Patrick Queen's on the last year of his deal. Ramsey is low over 30, and then we got Brisker. He's on a 1-year deal, and some other guys, right? So I think there's room to bring in some depth piece. And because Graham's going to run a 2-4-5 mostly defense, more of an open and attack concepts, more than just your traditional 3-4 what the Steelers are known for. I think someone like Kyle Lewis out of Pitt, and I've had a front row seat watching this guy play because he is a small linebacker / big safety that's 6 foot 220. This kid has ball instincts. He can hit, he can fly, cover. Because you think about it, I'm gonna get some of this when you talk about sleepers. This is a 12 and 13 personnel league now. You gotta match up the matchups. And Kyle Lewis can do that for the Steelers, and he can also be one hell of a blitzer with his speed as well. So I'm taking him at pick 76 to solve linebacker and safety. Not total each way, but just, give us some flexibility.
He kind of reminds me of a little bit like the great value version of Jeremiah Owusu-Koramoah. When he was playing at Notre Dame, he had that safety style of play, but also he could play into that linebacker role if needed. I really like Kyle Lewis. I think he's a really, really good player. He's going to be a good value pick later on.
Yeah, he was flying around with with the Sharks at Pitt, man, and he was really, really good. So, and then when we get to this back half of the third round and later on, the Steelers are just they're plugging for depth, rotational pieces, possibly 2027, 2028 starters. So I looked at defensive line again. The Steelers is funny. You get all these old on the defense, and there's only have 3 players at 30 or higher right now. Maybe there's a fourth of a backup. But I do obviously one of those players is Cam. So
Cam and TJ Watt.
Well, yeah, Cam, TJ, and Ramsey are the guys that are over 30. Everybody else is relatively young, right?
Yeah, kind of the backbone of that Steelers defense over the last 5 years. Real quick, just a quick opinion. Are you worried about TJ Watt this year?
No.
You think
if he does it again this year, then I'll be worried.
Yeah.
Yeah. He had that fluke injury with the needle and everything. And I'm going to tell you what this, I'm not going to be worried about TJ Watt. Let's say if he gets 11 sacks, right? But you have Herbig and Highsmith also have double-digit sacks. That's still a TJ Watt credit.
Yeah.
I don't think he's ever going to, he's not going to push 20-plus sacks anymore. I don't think he is. But we'll see what this new scheme with Graham has. Graham did wonders for Crosby out there in Vegas. So maybe he could do the same thing for TJ, but we'll see. But in that pick 85, I'm going Darrell Jackson Jr. out of Florida State, big 6'6", 325 feet tackle.
Yeah.
For two reasons. One, I see 6'6". I also see batted balls.
Yeah.
And he is a really good pursuer down the line. I like the way, because I watch a lot of Florida State games as well. I'm a Knowles fan as well as Pitt. So I like that pick. And then at 99, I think you may have to take him because this tackle is flying up the boards, and that's Travis Burke out of Memphis.
Yeah.
Big 6'9" guy. He's giving me Al Villanueva vibes. If you remember, we had that tackle for a while. Big athletic guy, used to play receiver. He has got a mean streak in him. I'm talking about Travis Burke. He can play very well on the screen games. A lot of his highlight tapes is shoving the guy outside and getting upfield, getting to that second level on screens. And I think that screams a lot of what McCarthy likes to do. So I took him at 99. I normally would take him like in the 4th round or so, but I think he's kind of creeping up the boards a little bit. You may have to get him at 99.
I think Burke met with the Chargers at the Combine actually, as well. So
yeah, and he actually came in with the Steelers as a top 30 visit for the Steelers as well.
Cool.
Real quick, thanks for all those commenting. We're going to get to those once we get to the next section. We'll go through and read all these comments that are coming through. We appreciate the feedback. And one of you, no, you are not the only one here. We just have not gotten to your comments.
Why don't you read that name? Why don't you read that name in your head real quick before you show the comment on the internet?
No, that's not.
What you guys can't see back here is just.
I think they should be able to see the comments. I think, depending on what. We'll get to the comments here shortly. You brought up a couple of names that are really big in my heart as far as mid-round prospects. When we get that, like Darrell Jackson is going to be. I mean, he's already like an 84 PFF run stopper at 6'6.5" and like 350 or whatever. And I think that dude would have, I don't know if you know the whole backstory on him. Maryland originally transferred to Miami, and then he had to transfer again. The NCAA didn't give him hardship because he moved back to be closer to his mom when she was going through some shit. So he actually had to miss a year and then came to Florida State. But yeah, I think that dude's going to, you're right. Just sticking a guy who's got an 86.5-inch wingspan at 340 pounds in the middle of the line is just going to mess some stuff up. Yeah. For sure. But yeah, where you guys are sitting at that middle 3 rounds, man, 3 picks in the 3rd round for you guys. That's scary as a Browns fan because I think all three of the 5 prospects I'm going to go over later are in there. And it's interesting you talk to like tackles moving up the board, and obviously the only boards we see are the mock drafts that everybody goes online. Anybody here notice that when they start mocking one player to their name, suddenly he goes from like a 140 ranking to like 87, and now you can't get him anymore in the 3rd round. Oh man. All right, let's get to the second half of this, Chris. Let's talk about your mock draft. You've got a slew of picks starting with 5 and 10. So where do you want the Giants to go with yours?
Am I allowed to trade back from one of the picks? Is that allowed?
This is your mock draft. You're the GM.
So,
if you messed it up, the fans can fire you.
Yeah. So it's pretty funny having 2 Chiefs fans here, but I think you guys mentioned the Jets and kind of, I know like you were kind of joking about Jeremiah Love. They're not going to take Jeremiah Love, but I do think people don't really know who that pick is going to be.
No.
And I think that the Cardinals are an interesting team because the rumors that have been circling are they want to trade out, but if they stay and pick there, they actually might go Jeremiah Love at 3.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's possible one of these two edge rushers, whether it's David Bailey or Arvo Reese, falls to number 5. And the Giants, one of the positions we're actually good at is edge rusher. Brian Burns had 13, 14, maybe even 16 sacks last year. Abdul Carter was drafted in the top 5. Kayvon Thibodeau still on the team. So at number 5, trade back with the Chiefs because the Giants have a bunch of needs. So trade back with the Chiefs. Chiefs get 5 and get Bailey or Reese. Giants get 9 and 40. That would be my ideal kind of trade back.
Wow.
Then you have 2 picks, 9 and 10, and then 37 and 40 to kind of get 2 players at the top of the second round. I don't know if that value matches, but.
Well, I was going to say, let me stop you there. So every year, obviously, especially the last 2 years, we've had these conversations, guys, and this is for all you. Anybody can answer. We've had these conversations like, oh, this draft isn't as good as the next year's draft going to be. Well, we see where that led, right? And then this year, it's the same thing. Do you think that's a tale of what happens when we start to look at the athletic freak traits versus the actual tape that's put out there by these athletes? And that's why we think that, Amos St. Brown is only worth a 4th round pick, but if he would have ran a 4.2, he would have been a top 10 pick. And now we're a copycat league, so all of a sudden Mekhi Lemon is a top 10 pick, but St. Brown wasn't. What's your thoughts? Because I have a hard time looking at it. It's funny you mentioned you'd trade 40 and 5 or 40 and 9 to move up to 5, and what's the value on that? And I was just watching a draft where to go from 12 to 7 took 2 second rounders. Last year, the Falcons to go in a draft that was much like this, not as valuable, didn't have quarterbacks, etc., to go from 44 to 26 cost them a future first, that 44, and a 4th rounder last year, right? So, I look at that, and it's like, wow, obviously there's still value. When you want to move, it's going to cost you. But what's your guys' thoughts as far as where they're putting the value of picks and how easy they're trying to make it sound to trade up?
I think it's the dumbest thing in the world because at the end of the day, every draft literally has talent littered from 1 to 7, and from 1 to 7, not every talented player gets drafted. There's so many undrafted players that get picked up and actually do much better than some of these top draft picks that actually get drafted. That it makes no sense for us to even have this narrative out there that this draft is not the draft and next draft is going to be the draft. It doesn't really matter. Do your homework and go ahead and get the pieces you need to make the team that you have better. It's that simple. But I feel like we get big this narrative of, okay, when Amon-Ra St. Brown was drafted, he was drafted at this particular point because he wasn't this fast. Well, let's look at the situation. He got drafted to a team that didn't really need a superstar receiver at that particular point because I guarantee you they didn't draft him to go ahead and be the one. And he just ended up being that. I'm guaranteeing you that Jameson Williams was supposed to be that one receiver there. But it just so happened that a better talent was in the draft that found that he needed it. So at any point in time in the draft, you can find somebody who's a better talent at any point. You just have to figure out what pieces actually fit your scheme. Like you mentioned, there's probably a good, the first 15 picks, and I'm not saying all 15, but those are the blue chip players that we're all going to want to draft because you can take any one of those picks and put them on any team and they'll be good or if not great. So it's just kind of that's what I see.
Not necessarily.
Yeah. And I want to also add this too. And I read this stat last year and I'd be curious if anybody has this stat or if anybody's listening and can look it up real quick. I want to say 31% of the NFL rosters last year, or it was either 31 or 21. It was a 1 in there last year. Were made up of undrafted free agents.
Mm-hmm.
So guys that you didn't even draft.
Right.
So there's a lot of these guys that get, that come in and they make the team like you were talking about. They get into a scheme. They get with the right coaching staff. I think Mahomes and Andy Reid was a perfect match to do what they did and win those Super Bowls. Right. I think Mahomes is still good no matter where he goes. Does he get that level of success without Andy Reid? Maybe not.
Exactly.
So and that's why I do think Amon St. Brown. Hell, you guys mentioned AB for the Steelers, that best 6-year run in NFL history until he went cuckoo. That way, he was a 6th-round pick. So it's about the scheme and who you play with. But I'd be very curious with the undrafted free agent, the percent of rosters spots that they have across the NFL, because I want to say it was hovering around 30%. about a year or so ago.
Yeah, real quick, Ed. I know you got something to add to
That's all
that.
good. It's all good.
25 to 28%, depending on the league, is made, or depending on the year, is made up of undrafted free agents. Last year, it neared 30 on multiple weeks throughout the season.
Yep.
So yeah, obviously that's going to be a big part of it too. It's finding that talent that doesn't quite make the big roster, right, or the big draft day expertise. What do you guys think as far as values of these trades? Do you think it's going to be as easy to move up? Any of you, it's got feedback on that?
I don't think so. I in my mock, I didn't have the Chiefs moving up. I think we have 3 picks in the top 40, and I think that to move up, it'll cost us that 40th pick, and I just don't know if, and probably something else, and I don't know if Veach is willing to do that. Now I'm probably wrong, but I just look at it, I'm like, I think he can get real value in those picks, and and I think the draft may fall his way, and he might get an edge rusher at 9 because somebody else does something crazy.
Not afraid of those short arms.
It's a real thing.
I don't think so. I don't think so on defense. I agree with George. There are a bunch of people in like ESPN and all these places, and they were doing mock drafts with the Chiefs with tackles. And I'm like, do you even read anything? Like, all of them had under 34-inch arms. They're not drafted. But I think on defense, I don't think it matters. Because I think Spagnuolo can fit him in. I think he's one of those guys, you put him in the right scheme, and I think Ruben Bain would be the right scheme.
Well, even if Ruben Bain's not a top 5, top 10 defensive end pass rusher that gets you 14, 15 sacks, man, that dude can sure disrupt a game plan. See Ohio State in the playoffs.
Yeah, and so I don't know if everyone was done, so I could do my mock.
Want to make one point here, but I think we're all missing this big point here. It's 2 things. Development is not linear. Okay.
Right.
So you can break out at any time. So you can bust at any time too. So you can either reach your peak now in college after spending realistically, guys, it's now going to be your 3rd, 4th, and 5th year. You're going to see that peak. Now coaches have to work harder to determine, okay, is this player at his absolute best right then and there, or can I squeeze more out of him? And that's my second point, is how teachable and coachable the player is. Because there have been plenty of cases where players have absolutely ruined their career because they want to be the diva superstar because they made it into the NFL. And I just want to touch on that just because, again, it doesn't matter where you get drafted. It's how hard you work, how teachable you are, and do you have it in you to go to that next level to elevate what's around you.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, I think the point that you made was perfect, John. Would Patrick Mahomes have the success he had he not been with Andy Reid? Okay, because if he went to the Browns instead of Myles Garrett getting drafted there, are we talking about the same? Are we talking even about the same quarterback here? Does he ascend to that eliteness?
God,
level?
no. God, no.
Hell
no.
No picks at that time.
Listen, I remember where Kansas City was before Andy Reid. You just watch yourself.
Oh, hey, listen.
I'll take that. I'll take that.
Yeah, that's
all day long.
We've
thrilled
all
with that.
dark days of our. I think we can all just own it right now. We've all been dark phases of our franchise, whether they have passed us or soon to come, but they are dark days.
Yeah, Pittsburgh's seen nothing but 500 ball for like 5 years. That's their dark days. Hey, real quick before we move on to the next one here, I'm curious. Obviously, you're trying to rebuild that Steelers defense a little bit with that mock draft and trying to put some talent on the board. What do you think the chances are that they do trade a lot of those picks, try to pick? I mean, I guess where I'm going is, do you see them tired of the middle of the road and starting to make a splash? Because you guys, I mean, how far is Rodgers going to take you if he even comes back this year?
Right.
If that, you don't really have a backup plan. Do you think this could be the first year the Steelers kind of just punt?
No. Unfortunately not. They're not going to. Roonies are not going to punt. They never will. And that is a frustrating thing with Steeler fans, and I get it. I don't see. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and top my chest and say Rodgers is going to lead the Steelers to the Super Bowl. If it happens, that's going to be an outlier situation. Obviously, I hope it happens. I'm not expecting it. They're very high on Will Howard, and I will tell you this: I'm not saying Will Howard is the guy, but I'm not saying he's not the guy, because he's a 6th-round pick for a reason. Because I've asked the Steeler fans a question, because he didn't play last year. And obviously they're going to hide behind 6th-round pick Ohio State quarterbacks that even though it's only 1 year, that doesn't breed a lot of success. But if Will Howard was coming out this year, where would he be drafted? Right? You would make a great case that he'd be the second quarterback drafted, but
arguably,
right? So in a sense, they drafted their quarterback this year. I don't think they're going to, because even drafting a quarterback high in the first round is a crapshoot. It's far from guaranteed. So I think next year is where they're going to make a splash. Because I really love to see if Rodgers comes back, and I think signs he's coming back. It's the worst kept secret. Then have Will Howard play in a preseason. Maybe he gets some regular season snaps. You see what he has. Can McCarthy build with him? If he can, then you load up the roster in 2027. If not, you do have a lot of quarterbacks coming out that you go make your move. But I think the splash is going to continue to build the team regardless of the quarterback position.
Yeah, agreed.
Eric, I just want to say, as a Green Bay Packers fan, experiencing McCarthy is going to be the most frustrating person on the planet with that Denny's menu in front of his face.
Oh, I know.
It's the most frustrating thing. Because
I have a question. Sorry.
Go ahead.
I have a question about McCarthy because it went away from their tradition. The three coaches they've hired were both young defensive coaches that stayed there forever.
Yeah.
And they hired an older guy who's an offensive coach. You know, is it just because he's from there? Like, I just thought that when. Yeah.
Coach without it, they got somebody in there who doesn't have pieces to work with except for maybe DK Metcalf and some few pieces that they have left. Kind of wanted to piggyback on what he said. Like, it's not necessarily something that's tradition of what the Steelers did in this particular offseason. And it kind of makes it, the draft seems like the least of y'all's worries for me. It's so much going on in the back end. Like, y'all don't know who the quarterback is. Y'all don't know if y'all need to draft one or not. Y'all don't know if y'all should draft a quarterback. Y'all don't really know what pieces that y'all need to work with because it's like, I don't 100% know exactly what I have. And that middle of the pack ball that the Steelers have been playing, I know that you as a Steelers fan are not happy with that bullshit. Because I'm a football fan over anything. I chose the Chiefs and the Chiefs chose me. So let's go ahead and get that straight. The one thing about this football that I always loved is that every team is unique in its own way. For the Steelers, it's been the steel curtain. You know through and through that defense is going to be what they hang their hats on. Y'all switching over to offense is one of the biggest questions in the world because that kind of leaves your draft so wide open that it doesn't necessarily make sense for you to honestly know exactly what y'all pick. Now, Will Howard is a great pick for the Steelers if y'all decide to go in that route. That means that y'all trying to build somewhere from something. But Will Howard is like almost a base quarterback. I don't see Will Howard right now. As of right now, coming into any organization and being something that people can hang their hats on right now. No. Now, of course, does he grow in the many systems? Absolutely. I think he's much better than Kenny Pickett was when y'all got him. I think that it's a lot of different things that kind of come up with.
There are a lot of people better than Kenny Pickett.
Right. Eric, what's your thoughts as far as that hire for as McCarthy as your head coach? And
it surprised me. I thought he was going to be on the staff. But I didn't think he'd be a head coach. I thought he was going to come in as like a senior assistant to Shula or to Kubiak or something like that to go young.
Who did Pittsburgh want, or who did you want as a Pittsburgh fan? What did your fans want?
I thought I wanted Kubiak. I wanted to go offense. Really? That was my change of pace because I wanted somebody to marry up with Will Howard to see if he is the future. Again, it's a big if. Sure. He has to earn the playing time as a 6th round pick. He has to earn it. I think McCarthy is here. And by the way, the more I learn about Graham as a defensive coordinator, the more I like.
Yeah.
And I don't think they're giving up a lot on defense. I being an older coach, as you guys were saying, I do think it's they're pushing, and whether fans like it or not, I think they're pushing to try to get TJ and Cam, and Ramsey's got his ring, but try to get TJ and Cam that playoff success. Cam was here for the last playoff run in 2016, but TJ, as we know, doesn't have a playoff win. I think they're trying to get these guys in before there is a massive reset because next year the Steelers have a boatload of cap. They don't have an old team despite what people say. They have a very young team. It's just the mediocrity is frustrating. But I'll leave you guys with this. It's very frustrating. But Mike Tomlin coached for 19 years. One game he was out of playoff contention. One.
Yeah.
I'll take that. I'll take having a shot every year over 4 and 13 years all the time, and pick up high, and you never know what you're going to do.
I couldn't agree more with you.
Yeah,
we could have a whole show about that. Obviously,
as a football player or anybody like that. Yeah,
and I'm sorry, I'm sorry if the Steeler fan. Listen, I love me some Steeler Nation, obviously, but I hear the word tank, I shut you off. It's not in my vocabulary.
I'm like that with anybody. Like, I'm one of those people who were like, oh, the Chiefs should go ahead and just tank because Patrick Mahomes is torn ACL and da-da-da-da. I'm like,
yeah,
I'm a football player, and the last thing I want to do is go out there for fucking nothing.
Yeah,
like I'm not going out there for nothing.
Yeah, I played in college myself too, man. I can't.
You play to win the game.
Yeah, I cannot
at all costs. So
I can be 0-15. I'm going after for that last game.
That's what you did to just make your team unwinnable, right? That's how you tank in this league the right way. All right, so I think, John, you got a chance to finish yours, right? So last would be the Scott on your is that correct, or did you not finish your mock, John?
I didn't. No, I had not. So
all right, go ahead.
I'll run it through it quick. I didn't trade anybody because that'd be too complicated, I think. So I went Reuben Bain at 9 for the Chiefs. At 29, I went Caleb Banks, defensive tackle out of Florida, pairing next to Chris Jones. At 40, it might be a stretch for Avion Terrell at corner because we need a corner, and I think he'd be a good pick. And Elijah Surratt, wide receiver at Indiana, for our third pick. So
that's a solid round of picks there. I like that Caleb Banks pick. If he stays healthy, that dude could have been a top 10, 15 pick in this draft if he wasn't injured the last couple of years.
Yeah. I think we have. We have Omar Norman Lott, who's coming back up an injury. We signed Chris Tonga out of New England, but we need somebody else there in defensive tackle, and we have to look at somebody to the future when Chris Jones eventually retires. But I think the whole goal with this draft is obviously defense, but is we need somebody else, another difference maker on that defensive line to lessen the double teams on Chris Jones because he gets doubled more than any player in football. And it's a pain. And they need like a guy like Bain and a guy like Banks would open things up. So I think it's I'm bullish on the Chiefs. I still think we had a rough year last year, but I think offensive line coming back healthy, I think it's going to be good. Josh Simmons was good when he played. I think
is he expected to be back by like the third or fourth week of the season?
Listen, that guy is as competitive as anybody. I think he'll be back as soon as he can. Somebody was like, "Well, let's look to 2027." Again, you said that's not my makeup. I want to get back on the horse this year, and so I think coming back healthy, the Chiefs got a lot of good things, but I think we need a difference maker on defense, and I think that's what we're probably going to see.
Let me ask you guys this really quick. How pissed would you be at 29 if they took Caden McDonald from Ohio State?
Why would they be?
I cut the fucking TV off. I'll tell you that.
There you go.
That's like the perfect fit.
I'm going to Wingstop because guess what? I need something to go ahead and ease the pain at this point because the draft is already.
That is because at 6, from my perspective, is anybody at 7, 8, 9, or 10 can trade up. Now at 10 it wouldn't make sense, but at that spot of 7, 8, 9, you can move up and arguably take the best corner in this class. And he's I give him kind of as the highest ceiling possible for him is Mansour Delane, who I kind of think is PS2 light. I mean, I know it's a little bit of a stretch. He's the best corner in the league right now, but I think anybody behind us, whether it's the Commanders or the Saints, could both take defense. And with you guys trading Trent McDuffie now and him being gone, I mean, that's a huge hole that could help fix that spot.
Yeah, I also don't see it. We may not take a corner till later because that's one
fine.
thing that
because I want to know your guys' thoughts on it entirely.
Yeah, I think I wouldn't be surprised. Like, although I don't really know because Veach drafts good corners. That's like he never signs them and he drafts good corners. And like we could take Hood or we could take McCoy at 29 if they're available. But I think we both. I think we go defensive line. I just think that's been the biggest need, and I think that's what we'll do.
Sounds like
and cornerback for the Chiefs is one of those positions that we seem to get a lot of depth pieces a lot of times. So, of course, like Jalen Watson and, Tramari Connor, late round picks who come up and make plays, not necessarily somebody who would start a lot of times on a lot of teams. With the Rams kind of taking all our cornerbacks, that were worth a damn. I do see us kind of taking some of those late round picks and going to get some, cornerbacks and filling out the depth position. I think because in the later rounds, one thing I noticed about the later rounds have a lot of bigger bodies.
Yeah.
We are talking about a lot of 6 foot corners and up. And a lot of them aren't as fast. That's where you kind of get the drop off. You get them a lot taller, but they started to become a little slower at that same, rate.
Yeah, they lose the flexibility of the hip movements. Hey, I don't mean to cut you off, but we got to try to stay on schedule because I don't know what everybody else's schedule is like, but I plan for this to go till 8:30. So sorry to cut you off, my dude. We all like to talk. That's why we got podcasts, right? All right, let's get to Scott there, another Giants fan. So it'll be interesting to hear your approach on the Giants mock draft.
Yeah, very, very similar to Chris's. I think at 5, we're taking an Ohio State player. If Styles falls, I'm looking at Styles there. And because of the perception of positional value of safeties, Downs could slip to 10. But if he's not at 10 and we haven't taken Downs, I think we're taking Francis Mauigoa, the offensive tackle from Miami, who really projects to a guard more so. And we have a need at guard. We don't have a 3rd round pick, so that pick at 37 in round 2, I see that as an ideal move to trade down a few spots, possibly pick up a 3rd or maybe an early 4th, as well as a longer 2nd. But if we stay there, you mentioned him earlier, but I might take Caden McDonald from Ohio State at defensive tackle to sort of fill in for what's been a void now that Dex is gone. And since we don't have a 3rd round, maybe in the 4th round, we'd go Jude Bowery, offensive tackle out of BC. If we haven't picked Mauigoa at 10.
I love Jude. That's what a good pick right there in the 3rd round.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, I actually think the Giants are more likely to move into the 1st than they are to sit there and wait at 37 in order to get a defensive tackle if that's the move they go. But I think the Giants are going to mess the whole draft up when they take Mansour Delane at 5.
They could, Delane has been on their board. I don't think he's going at 5, but that's one. If they decide to trade back from 10, maybe they go to the middle of the, 12, 15, somewhere around there, and they pick them.
Yeah, it's funny because when you start to watch all these mock drafts, everybody's got their own opinion, but almost every single analyst is kind of the same, right? Like if you look at the first 10 picks, they're kind of ideally the same. Maybe 1 or 2 has changed. But somebody's going to have to throw off that top 10. And it's either going to be Ruben Bain to the Jets or it's going to be Mansour Delane to the Giants. Like, I can't picture Harbaugh not jumping all over the potential of a lockdown man-to-man coverage corner. And that's exactly what Delane is. So we'll see how that pans out. But, I mean, either way, the Giants are in great position to really rebuild that roster. And I don't think they've given up any picks next year yet either. So interesting to see what they do with Harbaugh in the corner. Ed, we'll get to yours. Mine was real simple, and it's funny because as a Browns fan, people that are out there that listen to me are going to be like, you got to be kidding me. But
what do you got?
I got Jeremiah Love at 6. He fell on my mock draft, so I gladly took Jeremiah Love. Everybody looks at me like, what are you doing? You got Quinshawn Junkins, and I'm thinking, well, if there's not a quarterback or a wide receiver worth taking at 6, which I don't think there is, then I might as well put 2 of the best running back tandem together behind a rookie quarterback and play Steelers football.
Yeah, I'm glad to know you're off.
As a Steeler fan, please don't take him.
Yeah.
I'm glad to know your offensive line is going to hold up strongly for the first 3 weeks
know
of
what?
the
Here,
season,
all
and then
right.
everything just falls apart.
As a Browns fan, let me just pitch offensive line for a minute. First of all, we just invested in 4.
I'm not saying take it. I'm not saying take O-line
We
at
just
6.
invested in
I'm just
4
saying.
starters at offensive line this year
With no left tackle?
All high 80 or high 70 to low 80 PFF run grades. And
Not
our
Zion.
is return. Well, I can't help it that the Chargers didn't have tackles around him. If you look at his first half PFF versus second half,
yeah, he was our best offensive lineman, and he was probably graded out upper 50s, low 60s the whole year.
It was out of like 65. Wasn't he like 58?
It's hard to.
He was like middle of the pack.
It's hard to grade somebody, and it's only starter on a line of 5 that's actually really done anything before. It's either way. We've already invested in 4 offensive linemen. You say we don't have a left tackle. DeJuan Jones is an adequate left tackle. He's back. He's healthy. He's also 30 pounds lighter than he was last year. I don't think that they're going to just give up on DeJuan Jones and then go invest a top 6 pick at a tackle. I think the analysts have it wrong. In fact, I don't think the Browns take a tackle at all in the first round. Number 24, like I said, that's no man's land. I don't know if there's any truth to it. I don't know if the Cardinals are actually considering it, but since day one, I think that's where Barry trades for Marvin Harrison Jr. I think that 24 pick goes to the Cardinals. We'll see.
You got any like expansion onto that, or I mean, for the
you got to look at it. So the Cardinals are in complete rebuild mode. There is discussion that they're interested in Ty Simpson. I don't know that that's necessarily the case, but for them to be able to get up, get their quarterback, and really reset that clock, because whether you think that Marvin Harrison is going to pan out or not, he's 3 years into his 5-year deal. Well, 4-year plus 5-year option, right? So that means at the end of next year, if he's, let's say he's having a 1,200-yard year, you're going to have to pay him what now? $50 million is the going rate for a starting wide receiver. So as if you're the Cardinals and you're year 2 into what appears to be a complete rebuild, you've got maybe 4 players on that roster that are starter worthy. This is the time to trade him, because next year that value is going to be less and less, because now you're trading a guy who's expecting a big contract.
Yeah.
We'll see. I don't know if it'll necessarily happen, if there's truth to it, but I wouldn't be surprised if during this draft Harrison gets moved to somebody. I hope it's us at 24, because there's nobody at 24 that I see the Browns drafting. Number 39. I know I hated the pick last year of Schlesinger. Let me just go on the record. I fucking was on the show and like
he dogged me on the draft when we talked about it. Dogged me.
I was fucking so wrong. I was
like, wait, what?
I was so wrong that I flipped the script, and I want the Browns to go defense again. I like Anthony Hill Jr., linebacker out of Texas.
I love that pick.
That dude is a sideline to sideline player, has like a 45% blitz success rate on the quarterback. Beast. And then in my mock, I don't think he'll be there, but in ultimate Cleveland fashion, we picked the guy with the mullet, Jennings Dunker.
Out of Iowa.
I would gladly invest in a ton of 3rd-round picks we'll get to, but we'll save that for another day. So that's my mock. Let's hear what yours is.
I'll keep it plain and short here. Okay, my philosophy is at 6, you're reading the board, you're seeing who's there, and you're ultimately taking any phone calls, which they have talked about. Plain and simple, Dallas wants to move up. Why? Because now the Giants have 10 additional to that. They want to compete in the NFC East. They're going to take 6 from us to move up for whatever reason, whoever the Giants had. I think that's going to obviously be dependent on what the Cowboys do. You trade us 12 and 20. We trade 6 and 24. You could throw in a 3rd. You can throw in whatever you want. I just, for this purpose, using Pro Football Network, I added a 3rd-round pick from Dallas, and it worked out for me.
So wait, what was your trade? You went from 6. You traded down
6 to 12, and then 24 to 20. And then Dallas gave me a 3rd-round pick.
So to move into the top 6, the only thing they had to do is bump up.
This is per PFSN. I can only work within their parameters here. Okay.
I mean, we just talked about a draft that there might be 5 blue chippers in, and we're going to give up that blue chipper for some.
We're also not in a competing setting right now either. We still don't have an answer at quarterback. We still don't have an answer at left tackle. Your wide receiver room is garbage.
Y'all don't believe in Shador?
Y'all
not Shador fans?
Anyway, I took a 12 while I don't be here. I love this kid. He is probably my favorite player that I've recently taken a deep dive into. It's Mansour Delane at 12. Do I think he's going to be there? Absolutely not, but he was on my board in this setting. I'm going to take Delane. I think he's a dog. I think with Denzel getting older, you need to button up, especially with the talent that's all around you. You have T. Higgins, Jamar Chase, Michael Pittman, DK Metcalf. I mean, it's 4 wide receivers that could arguably change the entire face of your game on any given Sunday. Okay, we know what Jamar and T are. I want to see what DK does when he's not throwing punches at fans, and what Michael Pittman Jr. can do in a different setting, in a different offense. I love the kid. I think he's a great player. I want to see some really good defensive play out of these guys. And again, with Denzel getting older, I'm more than happy to trade him and maybe get a pick out of it. Again, I couldn't add or trade it in this setting, but at 20, I have Omar Cooper Jr. adding to that wide receiver room. I think the kid could be the number 1 wide receiver, not just coming out of this class. I think he could arguably be a top 10 wide receiver in the league at some point. He looked amazing all in his entire year with Fernando. Blake Miller at 39. Again, good quality offensive piece. You want to move him inside the guard. You want to keep him at tackle. That's totally fine. And I agreed with you there with Jennings Dunker, the offensive guard. My whole philosophy is you're building for the future. You're building for next year. Whatever happens, if Shador doesn't work out, hey, you get a great high pick. There's a ton of great quarterback play coming into next year. So there's 10 quarterbacks next year, guys, easily. easily that if they want to go into the draft, they can. So that's my thought.
Yeah, and I'll address the one question you had as far as Shedeur. I mean, as a Browns fan, Shedor's house money anytime. I don't care if his name's Shedeur, if it's John Samsonite. The fact that a 5th-round quarterback could actually be any kind of starter for your team is a win. I mean, that's how you get lucky and you win for the next 10, 15 years is the 5th-round quarterback turning into being a solid starter. But do I think that's going to be the case? Not really. I think that he might lead us to just enough wins to take us out of the top 4 or 5 picks next year. Frankly, I'd be more interested to see if he even starts over Deshaun at this point, because when it comes to practice, a veteran and somebody with the skill set that Deshaun has is going to outshine a 5th-round quarterback just because the game's not moving as fast on the practice field. So I'll be interested to see what happens in those early games, but it could be happening. It could be anything. And as far as the Cowboys moving up, I mean, as a Browns fan, I hope that they don't make that trade because I think that's a ludicrous trade. It puts you in the back half.
I think
of
the
top.
value can be there, though.
Hold on. It puts you on the back. The idea is it puts you on the back half of the first X of talent, and then you have 2 picks in, once again, La La Land. I would rather have, instead of that first, I'd rather have 3 of the Steelers' 3rd-round picks.
I think you're absolutely insane and completely ludicrous for thinking that.
Maybe so, but we'll go from there. All right, real quick, because we talked about trades a couple of different times in this draft, this is something I just had some questions on. We'll start with Taylor. You've been really quiet, so let's get you back into the chat here. Over under 5 trades get made in the first round.
I'm going to go with under.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go with under. I think 2 or 3 happen in the first round.
2 or 3 happen in the first round?
Yeah.
Any predictions on who you think it'll be?
I'm really leaning towards the Chargers. I think they're going to trade the 22nd pick. I think that Joe Ortiz likes to acquire picks. He's had more than 5 picks the past 2 drafts. And I think that there's a lot of needs on the Chargers team right now, especially in the in-depth situation. So I can see them trading that 22nd pick. Like I said, I've seen that pick go to Arizona, and then them acquire another 2nd round, a 3rd-round pick this year. I've done some mocks too, which I don't think you're accurate. I've got them to getting 4 picks back for that first, but I could definitely see the Chargers trading out the first round this year.
Yeah. All right, let's move on to Big George. What do you think?
Honestly, I'm taking over.
Okay.
I feel like there's a lot of teams that are going to make a lot of moves in that first round that don't necessarily. I feel like there's going to be some teams that trade back in, and like she said, the Chargers are going to, easily trade out. I feel like they do have the ability to kind of trade out and not need a 1st-round pick this year. So that's going to be an easy trade. I can see Arizona trading. I can see New York trading one of their 1st-round picks and trying to get more picks on the back end. I can see that happening. But it's just it's a lot of possibilities.
I'm surprised, speaking of New York, I'm surprised you're not hearing the Jets talking about moving from 16 up into the top 5 or 6 for a 2nd pick. I'm really surprised. I mean, there was originally, I think, talk of them maybe being a trade with Cleveland up to 6 and giving up 16, 33, and 44. And I'm surprised that's not kind of, especially with the Giants now having that 5th pick and 10th pick. We'll see what happens there. All right, let's go over to you, Eric. You think over under at 5?
I think it's over. I mean, how many teams have multiple 1st-round picks, right?
Yeah,
so I think those are both trade up or candidates to take a deal to move down, accumulate picks for teams that want to trade up in the 1st round. And I do think even actually some of those later 1st rounds, you may see some sneaky quarterbacks getting there just because you want that 5th year of control.
Yeah.
So I'm definitely going to go over.
Awesome. All right, Chris, what you think?
I think the second half, I'm going to go over. I think the second half of this draft could be, the second half of the 1st round could be insane with trades because everybody's kind of said picks like 20 to 40. Everybody has different rankings. There's not really a consensus. A lot of people think, the 40th player is the 20th player or vice versa. So I think a ton of these really, good playoff teams in the last 10 picks of the draft are going to be, as you said, trading out and trying to get, additional picks or future picks or trying to load up in the middle of this draft. I think the first 15 picks, you're not going to see a ton of trades. I do actually think that, I know you were mentioning, I do think the Dallas and the Browns trade does make sense if the Browns are hell-bent on getting a tackle. And I think they're trying to build like an infrastructure for the 2027 QB, whoever that may be that they draft. And I think Dallas, if they see Sonny Styles still on the board at 6, Jerry's going to want this really flashy type player, and they'll go up and make that move. So that's the trade I do kind of see happening at the top. I don't really think Arizona. I think Arizona wants to move out. I don't think anybody wants to go up to 3. I just don't think people look at whoever's there at 3 and say that guy's a lot better than the 8th or 9th pick, unless you like want to move up for Jeremiah Love. But I don't really see a team who would do that. So I would go over, because I just think the second half of the draft is going to be so many trades.
Yeah, I think when you're talking about Arizona, of course, who wouldn't want to move out if they're not going to take a quarterback this year if they don't see the value in those top 4 or 5 players? But I think you're right. Like, you're not going to get what you would normally get for a 3rd overall pick in this draft, and then you're just going to be like, "What did I do? I would have rather drafted somebody I didn't necessarily need and use that for trade bait later." All right, let's go to you, John. What do you think? Over under?
I think it's going to be over, because I think too the teams in multiple first-round picks, I think are going to shake up the draft. Like, I see the Chiefs actually. You mentioned Arizona. I think the Chiefs could be that team. Cleveland and Dallas, I think, is going to make a move. I think Miami is probably going to make some sort of move to get in an impact player. So I think it's going to be over.
Interesting. Okay. And then last but not least, Scott, bringing up the back half of this.
I'm taking the over too. So I think Jerry Jones, it's prime time. He's going to move up. He's one of the teams I see taking a stab. And I agree with Chris. I think the back half of the first round, and if you include the first half of the second round, I think you could see as many as 8 trades there. And I think you'll see in the night between the first and the second round, I think you'll see a trade being proposed already when they come on board for the second round. So I think it's going to be a crazy night from picks 18 through 30.
Right on. Yeah, I'm with you guys, all you guys on the over. Taylor, you were the one off on this one. Okay. So, hey, if you're looking to make big, I'd go with the under on your whatever sports book app that you prefer.
I'll fade the over on that. I'll fade it. I'll take some action on that. The line is what I think someone said in the comments. The line is under 5.5. Yeah, I'll take it.
I you know what? It comes down with the fact that there are 6 teams, I believe, right? You got the Jets, the Browns, Cowboys, Chiefs. Who am I missing? Giants. And there's one other team. Miami, yeah, because they got 30 the Waddle trade. So there's 6 teams with 2 first-round picks, and I do think that there might be somebody. I think the trades are going to happen with. You mentioned the Chargers moving back. I think if guard's that important to him, I can see them moving up and having less picks in the later round. We'll see what happens, but God, I hope the Cleveland Browns do not make us trade back to it. I mean, as a top 6 draft pick, the last thing I want to do is move back to 12. I'm so tired of that game. Been there, done that multiple times. It's netted us the players like Corey Coleman.
Well, look who's ran this team, though. That's the problem.
It doesn't matter, dude.
It's all about who's running the show.
We have Phil Taylor instead of Julio Jones. We have Corey. Corey
Coleman.
Corey Coleman instead of I can't even remember who. I'm tired of that game. What about you, Ed? You said you're going to take the under action.
Oh, why not? I'll take it. Right. I like to go a little bit against the grain here. Unpopular opinion. Line's 5.5. Hey, you know what? Fuck it. We'll go under. If I had to put a number on it, I'd say there'd be 4. Okay. And I think all 4 of them are going to happen inside the top 15. Hey, I'll make a stupid bet. It's plus what, 15,000 on that? I'll throw a couple bucks at it. Why not?
All right. For those listening, please make sure you like, subscribe, and comment. If you are watching any of the channels, make sure you go into the description and click on everybody's at one point and at least give them a little love. In the meantime, we've got a couple of comments here. I'm going to have Ed get to those while I pull up some graphics that I put together for this next segment. So, Ed, go ahead and.
Okay, this is all made by. It looks like all is made by one person. I'm not going to read that name. Just a redacted comment right there. What I've heard of this draft class is that it's about 3 tiers in the top 50 prospects. You have the blue chip prospects where there are only about 8 players that fit in that blue chip grading. I mean, I said 10, but I mean, everybody else has their completely different discrepancy as to what they think is a blue chip prospect. I mean, when I think of blue chip prospects, I want to know your guys' opinion as well. For me, it's somebody that is a near can't miss. Somebody that if they do miss, it's a generational miss. Okay. It's somebody that is so high above the average ranking that if they fall anywhere less than slightly above average, it's a disappointment. I mean, what are your guys' thoughts on that?
There's not many, in my opinion, and like the true can't miss. I think Jeremiah Love is a can't miss. People say, you can't draft a running back that high. And I hear that. I just think this class is not that good ultimately. So I think a team will draft him high.
I think
Downs,
we have to eliminate positional value there, though. I mean, let's just talk strictly players here. I mean, you're talking Jeremiah Love, you're talking Fernando Mendoza.
Yeah,
I mean, who else
Caleb
fits into
Downs,
that?
I
Mansour
think.
Delane fits into there somewhere.
Downs, I think, might.
I don't know. I want to know what your guys' kind of thoughts are on that, as to kind of what qualifies in your guys' eyes as a true can't miss blue chip prospect.
I'm not gonna lie, they got to jump off the paper. And the only three people that really jump off the paper like that for me: Downs, Bain, Fernando Mendoza. And everybody else is kind of, they lack just a little bit to kind of be put in everybody's system.
Right.
You know,
right. There's something.
It's always a little bit of something missing to kind of put. Arvell Reese would not fit at all in New York to me. It's just too much going on for them. That's just not necessarily what they need right now. He'd be a great player there.
Mm-hmm.
They wouldn't be shit on the back end. They would get their ass thrown on all day long. But at the end of the day, you couldn't run on them for nothing. So it's just like, for me, a blue chip, like I say, they got to fit everywhere, but they have to make every team significantly better at that position.
Right. No matter what situation that they're in.
No matter what situation.
They have
like
to
you said, Jeremiah Love can go 1 through 32, and their running back situation is significantly better. Even
100%.
the Ravens. I would even say the Ravens, because if you had him coming off the bench for Derrick Henry, what the fuck would you do? Like, what would you do? Like, I wouldn't know what to do at that particular point.
Yeah.
That team could
You're
run
scaring
all
the Steeler fan. You're scaring. It's terrifying.
Saying,
I can say it in his
like,
face. I agree on Love. I think Love's a can't miss. I think he needs to be on that list.
I think so. I think we're missing out on Vega Iowani. I think that it is a can't miss offensive tackle, or I'm sorry, offensive lineman as a whole. I love him. I think he's a great player. He reminds me, if he did play guard, it's Penei Sewell. Just absolutely unstoppable.
Yeah, I'm going to go. I think, and I agree, they have to jump off the page. I unfortunately got to see Jeremiah Love play in person this year when they played at Pitt, and this guy is just makes you watch him. So to me, Love, Downs, and Vega to me are the only, I believe, can't miss prospects this year.
Yeah.
There's a lot of really good ones. David Bailey, Ruben Bain. Ruben Bain can probably fit on most teams. There might be a scheme that, in the NFL level, he could not be as effective at Miami, but that's few and far between. But I'm talking about Downs, Love, and Vega can play at any 32 teams, and I think to be a Pro Bowler at any of the 32 teams. So
I completely agree. With that.
Real quick, do you think we would be talking about Jeremiah Love being a can't miss prospect if he ran like a 4.48 instead of a 4.36?
Did he break the same amount of tackles? Did he have the same amount of touchdowns?
I only ask because almost every year we talk about the running backs and we say how low they're devalued, etc. But suddenly a guy who's 200 pounds also can hit like a brick and then runs a sub 4.4, and he's a top 5 can't miss prospect at the running back position. So once again, it goes into, is it that athletic freak style where, the measurables are there. Now, obviously he's got great tape to go with it, but just curious your thoughts.
It may hurt him, but I don't know.
No, I think the 40 time puts him in that can't miss prospect, because then you're taking a guy that has that kind of speeds, normally like 210.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Or I'm sorry, not 210. I'm sorry, like 195, maybe 210. But the fact he can do that, plus run with power, plus run with the moves, that spin move he did on Pitt was just unbelievable.
Nasty.
I said I wasn't that far away from it.
I pressed B on my controller.
It was nasty.
But yeah, I think the one thing about Jeremiah Love is that he's, like you say, a bigger prospect. But the one thing about that is, like, the only real prospect that you would want to compare him to as far as size and things like that is some of the legends, because that's what you think of. You think of like Adrian Peterson, Walter Payton, some of the bigger backs that were actually workhorses. The one thing about that is most offenses don't even run like that no more. So it's kind of not necessarily the value for him. It's just that what team is going to change their offensive style to go ahead and fit him? Yeah. That's more or less the problem in question. Right. Because there's going to be a lot of teams that can actually take him, but you would have to change something about your team right now that's going to be able to take him, make him fit as the best he would for your team at this moment. So he's the only player I can see that can start day one without very many, kickbacks.
Well, we got a Steelers fan here, so let's ask this. He says he can see the Steelers trading up for Vega or Lemon. Do you see the Steelers making a trade up?
I could see it. only reason it's the trend has been going on the last few years. The hometown or the host team makes the splash. Green Bay finally drafted a receiver. A couple others, it happened, So I could see that because I do think the Steelers believe that they're close.
Well, do you think McCarthy plays a factor in that too? I mean,
Yes.
Tomlin was more of a just play with what you got kind of guy. You think McCarthy's got some extra say in the decisions being made?
You know what, though? I also see that more as an Omar Khan thing.
Yeah.
And Kevin Colbert has really screwed the Steelers. His last few drafts on the Steelers with Kevin Colbert were just bad.
Yeah. If
you look at the last 3 drafts for the Steelers, if you look at contributing players, they're hitting about 70%.
Wow.
I'm talking guys that play special teams, that are in rotational pieces and starters. There are very few players from the last 3 drafts, which are the last 3 Omar Khan drafts, that are not making significant contributions. Now, again, you can argue about the 9 and 7 years and all that kind of stuff, but they're players that are making contributions. I think they're close, so they may go up and get a playmaker, or they may go up and get Vega if there starts to be a run on, if they believe that's going to bring them over the top.
All right, I'll leave this one for Taylor. What do you think? Are Boston and Cooper Jr. going to both be first-round picks?
I think Boston is. Cooper Jr. may be late first round, early second round.
Interesting.
See, I have that flipped. I think personally Cooper is going to go before him, before David Boston. I think he's got.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of mocks where Boston is like in the 20s drafted, and then Omar Cooper falls to the second round. So, but I mean, both those guys, either way, it could definitely happen if it's swapped.
All right, I'll throw this one out to Eric. You in Pittsburgh again. Would you trade? Well, he says you should, but I would ask you: would you trade Highsmith for an early second round pick?
Depends on how early, because trading Highsmith comes with 11.8 million cap hit, and then another 6 million next year. So if you're going to trade him, you better have a plan of somebody that's going to replace him. And both Highsmith and Herbig, although Herbig's great, they have not proven to be able to stay on the field all year. They're both kind of have injury bugs.
Let me ask you this: would you take a first for JJ Watt right now?
For TJ?
TJ Watt, I'm sorry. Yeah.
I was going to say.
Shit, I'd take a 7 for JJ.
I'll give up a couple for you to get JJ back.
What was this cap hit the year you're retired? I'll pay that.
Yeah, right. Take that today.
I'm going to tell you this: TJ for first, no. Here's why: 30, unless if you can designate a post June 1st, because it's a $30-some million cap hit because of his contract. And I'm not. Again, he had a bad year because of injury. I'm not sold that he's written off, that he's going to be a bad player. So I would say no.
So interesting when fans are like, it's a cap hit. And to me, now I used to be worried about that. Now I'm like, who cares? It's going to go up by $40 million next year.
Yeah, I mean, next year it's going
to you know what? You're right, but it's also still another cap hit.
Tuesday afternoon on freaking Hulu.
I'll let teams like the Dolphins like that have all that dead cap. I'm not interested in it.
I want to ask this really quick. I want to ask these Giants guys here one question. So this just kind of hit me here. This is kind of similar to the situation that you guys were in. These picks are a little bit later, just inside the top 10, where you guys took. It was Evan Neal and Kayvon Thibodeau. Now I know you guys are gonna be pissed, but how pissed would you be if this is the same go around again with the situation of you have this immense draft capital now, and the guys just don't work out? I mean, is Joe Schoen gone by week 4?
I think Joe Shane's gone no matter what at the end of this year, probably. I think he's basically the water boy at this point. But I think, everyone that looks back at Evan Neal, that was what you consider a can't miss prospect at the time. He was probably a better shoe-in to be a better player than Thibodeau. Yeah. And just the way it turns out, I think there's a comment George made earlier about the draft. There's 15 guys, top 15 guys, they can't miss. But in every draft, you got guys that miss in the top 10, several guys in the top 10 that don't live up to the billing. I'll be pissed as hell if that happens. The Giants will be 3-4 years again struggling.
And the only reason I asked that again is just because of a similar situation. But same thing here as the Justin Gilbert, Johnny Manziel saga of 2014. Was that 2013 or 14? It was one of those early 10s years. That was very upsetting. It set the organization back extremely far. And yeah, the GM was Sashi Brown.
Yeah. Where's he at now? Where's he at now? He's in Baltimore,
Hopefully,
isn't he?
I don't. God, who the hell cares? He's the hell away from the team. But I just want to know your guys' opinion on just from the frustrations that come with this draft and having these multiple picks. I just get the eerie flashbacks and things.
Yeah, it can set you back a ton. I mean, it did in 2022 when the Giants took Kayvon and Evan Neal. It can definitely set you back a lot. So, yeah, this is a huge draft. This is probably going to dictate the next 3 or 4 years of Giants football. That's kind of the way it is when you have 2 top 10 picks. I mean, you have a chance to really turn your team around. So.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, another question. We'll give this one to you, Scott. Do you think the Cowboys are going to move up to 3 and jump the Giants to get Styles?
I don't know if they'll move up to 3. I can see the Cowboys moving up to let's say 8, 9 around that area. They do want to jump the Giants for Styles. I know that, but Styles could actually go number 3 or number 4 to other teams. So it's a possibility. Like I said before, Jerry always wants to make a splash at the draft, so you never know what's going to happen.
All right. I'll give this one to John, G and the Chiefs. This guy, the Man Cave, thinks that the Chiefs are going to want Downs and are going to move up to get him. What do you think? Would you be upset or happy with that?
I'd be happy with it. We do need a safety.
If it cost you 40 to move up to, say, 5 with the Giants or 6 with Cleveland to get Downs, would you do that? Would you be happy with that?
Yeah, I would be. I think we need. I think he'd fit in well here with the way Spagnuolo uses safeties. I definitely wouldn't have a problem with it.
Awesome. All right. Let's see here.
You want to move into the mid-round top 5 picks?
Yeah, we're gonna get into that next. I was just looking here, a couple of comments that joined while we were gonna do that. Basically, after the league saw what Gibbs can do, Love is up there in the draft pick. That's why he's bounced up so high. We talked about it being a copycat league. Mendoza, hell no. How many of you guys are happy that you don't have the first overall pick and need a quarterback? Yeah. I am not impressed with Mendoza. I mean, I could be really, really wrong. I mean, I'm not a quarterback.
If this was a loaded draft class, let's say there were 5 quarterbacks in this draft class, where do you put Mendoza?
3. I'm sorry. You wouldn't talk to me.
I was saying it to anybody. Anybody can answer that. I don't know.
I got Mendoza at 3 because I feel like he's a good quarterback. He had a great system. It's just that I don't know if he has the intangibles to give the Raiders a boost. I feel like he's been really good, and he can be very good. It's just that I don't know if the Raiders have any. I don't know what their quarterback coaches look like. I don't know what their situation looks like for quarterback. For the last 5 to 10 years, the Raiders haven't had a sufficient quarterback, not named Derek Carr.
If anyone's gonna fuck it up, it's gonna be the Raiders. I think that's what's gonna. If anyone's gonna screw it up, it's gonna be the Raiders.
Farrell for a second at number 4.
They're gonna Raider it up.
Years ago, I mean that's If it's not the Raiders, it's the Browns or the Jets.
Oh man,
it's historically.
All right, let's get into this next segment. Hopefully, you guys are all still good on time. Appreciate you guys being patient while we get through this. Obviously, with 6 people, it goes a little bit slower. So I'll try to go through this process really quick. Just I've got a little model here for all your top 5s. So forgive me, it was created by AI. So if it's anything spelled wrong or the pictures all look the same, it's because I didn't have the time to go through and correct everything. But let's start off with Taylor. Let's start off with your top 5 mid-round prospects and who you like the most and why.
Yeah, so I have, first off, Adami Tucker, edge out of Western Michigan, played in a Chris O'Leary defense, had 14 sacks last year. His overall grade, according to PFF, was 91.4. I think if, let's say, the Chargers don't go edge rusher in rounds 1 or 2, they get him in the later round, already knows the Chris O'Leary defense and can fit right in for that 3rd edge rusher that they're looking for. Second guy I have is Jager Burton, center out of Kentucky, offensive lineman, which is what the Chargers need. He could play in a Mike McDaniel scheme. He started 12 games at center last year, but has positional versatility. I know he's played at left guard and right guard in his career, so can move him for a depth piece on that offensive line. And let's say, once again, the Chargers decide they don't want to go offensive line 1st and 2nd round. A guy like this, you may be able to put in, plug and play, and be a starter. I have Kamari Ramsey, safety, out of USC, which I had talked about. I think he'd be a great addition to that secondary. You can utilize Derwin James all around the field. He can go into pass coverage. As I mentioned, he's a local kid. He's already had a visit with the Chargers, so I think that pick makes sense. Landon Robinson's another guy that I have mocked several times to the Chargers, defensive tackle out of Navy, a little bit undersized. He had 8 sacks last year for Navy. I think he had 14 and a half sacks total in his career. Coming over to a great defensive line coach with Mike Elston. He's been able to take a lot of players that had bad years, were underrated, and turn them into really good players. I mean, Tier Tart's one of them. Puna Ford is another one. So I think a guy like that, also working with leaders like Khalil Mack on the defensive line, I think that would be a great pick. And then I have at 5 here, I have Bryce Lance, which we had touched on, a wide receiver coming over to the Chargers. Trey Lance does play for the Chargers still, so he'd have his brother on the roster. I think he ran, let's see, he's 6'3", 204, ran a 4.34 at the combine.
Wow.
Had over 1,000 yards receiving last year, 8 touchdowns. He could be that top speed guy that we're looking for in that Mike McDaniel offense, and I think you could probably get him in the 3rd roundish. I've seen him mocked. So these are my 5 guys I have in the mid rounds for the Chargers.
Yeah, it's interesting. I like Ramsey. We talked about that. Landon, I think he's like the only sub 6 foot defensive tackle in the draft. That'd be my only worry. And you bring up another receiver who's 6'3", runs a 4.3 40. None of you guys had him on your list, but who's the wide receiver out of Cincinnati? Is it like John or Jeff Williams or
Jeff
David?
Caldwell?
Yeah. He's another guy, 6'5", 4.3, ridiculous speed. But I'll be interested to see where, while these guys are all touted in our mock drafts, right, using PFSN or whoever we're using, the 4th, 5th, 6th round picks, this is where I think that back end of the 1st round or early 2nd round gets interesting, where these guys start going off the board because we just don't know enough about them and somebody else thinks they know enough, right? So awesome. Appreciate you bringing that up to the table. Next, we'll go with you, Eric, because you're the next on my sheet here. Let's hear who you've got up there. You mentioned one of these guys earlier.
Yeah, I'll just go in the order you have them there too. But so if the Steelers miss out on Bernard and Cooper Jr., or it's the double dip, I think the double dip would be Kendrick Law, a receiver out of Kentucky. I like him at 5'11", about 205, 210, very shifty. He had a lot of receiver screens, things like that, but he's also a really good and effective kick returner, punt returner as well, which I think the Steelers are missing. Someone's got to challenge Roman Wilson for that job, and who knows if Roman Wilson's even on the team. So I like him a lot. Kyle Lewis at Pitt, like I said, I think this guy is a Swiss Army knife on defense, and you guys have heard me boast about him, so I won't spend too much time on him. Bo Stevens is the guard from Iowa. I'm going to tell you this. You take a lineman from Iowa, they're going to be good, and I think he is –
very true.
I do think he is like your fallback option if the Steelers cannot get, Vega or Rutledge from Georgia Tech. Or, you get him as a depth piece as well, too. So I really like the way he plays. Very strong, smart, and I believe he was a captain for a while or his senior season. And when I read multiple bios, it just seems like his play is progressing upward. So I really, really like him, and he already looks good in black and gold anyway. And then Travis Burke, I also spoke about him as well. So I won't, go on that, but the 2 guys you have there, and I did cheat a little bit by putting 2 guys there because both of them, first off, the Steelers had both of those guys in for a top 30 visit, and they are that new avatar 6'3", 6'4" corner where the length is a problem, right? And we like what we have in Joey Porter Jr. He is in a contract year, so I really hope that the Steelers do sign him. He's cleaning up the penalties, which is also something that's the bugaboo for both these guys from Washington. But they both have alignment versatility, so they can play left side, right side. And the Steelers defense is just built on length. And we got Dean from Tampa to start into the other corner spot. But I believe you can kick him around. And if you have – I think Price Sock is the better of the 2. But I just love the length of both these guys because, again, you have to match up with 12 and 13 personnel a lot of times now with these 6'6" tight ends. And these guys would give the Steelers that versatility.
Yeah, love the picks. Obviously, you had Kyle Lewis on there. We actually did he was a late round gem for us a couple of weeks ago. And Bo Stevens, I think, is the same thing. I think he's like one of those dominant guards that's going to be able to at least run block to start, right?
Yeah.
And Takario Davis, I think he's going to be one of those other prospects that's like a cornerback / safety, not great in one-on-one coverage, but great in the zone. And he can definitely come up and put the smack on somebody. So awesome. Appreciate you bringing that up. All right, let's get to who do I have next here? Chris, let's get into your mid round. And actually, you've got a familiar face on there as well.
Yeah, so Eric had a couple of my guys, so I won't go too far into it. I had Takario Davis and Travis Burke as well on my list. But Ted Hurst, wide receiver out of Georgia State, I personally think the Giants would be better off waiting to, day 2 or day 3 to take a receiver, maybe early day 3 with Hurst. I know he might be like a late 3rd round pick. Production was unbelievable the last 2 years, 127 catches for 1,965 yards. So really, really good production. And he did really well at the combine, had the best, which was really interesting, the best broad jump of any receiver at the combine, 11 feet, 3 inches. The production was a little mixed against top competition. That's the downside to him, I'd say. Didn't do great against Ole Miss, Georgia Tech, but he was good in games against Vanderbilt and Memphis as well. So, he's a guy I think the Giants need, like a big outside receiver. They already have Malik Neighbors, who's obviously the do-it-all number 1 guy. They kind of need another big outside wide receiver, so I like him. Chris McClellan, a defensive lineman out of Missouri, obviously no Dexter Lawrence anymore for the Giants, so they're going to need to obviously bulk up the interior. Can line up all across the defensive line as a 1-tech, 3-tech, or 5-tech. Not the greatest athlete, but I think he's going to step in immediately and be good against the run, which, again, I think the Giants need to prioritize stopping the run, one of the worst run defenses last year in the NFL. And, obviously, Lee Hunter, I think, is an interesting one because, he was one of the best players in college football, but he had one of the worst combines you've ever seen, worst vertical jump of any of the defensive tackles, and he had tied for the worst broad jump. But, he led all of FBS in run defense stops and tackle for loss or no gains over his final 2 seasons when he was at UCF, according to Pro Football Focus. So another guy that I think will go on day 2, and I think he's going to be a good player despite some of the athletic limitations with him.
Yeah, it's interesting how he's dropped down the boards recently, but after the Senior Bowl, he shot up the boards where teams were talking about him being a late 1st round, early 2nd. Now they're talking about him being so. It'll be interesting to see where he falls at the end. All right, sorry. Let's get on to let's go to 3 Angry Giants over there, and let's talk about your list here.
Yeah, so one of my guys is wide receiver Cyrus Allen out of Cincinnati. Production's there. He led the Big 12 with 13 touchdowns, and he's got medium size, 5'11", 180, but he's got speed. So elite speed and separation. He could be a good value there because I think he could be had in the 6th round possibly. Second guy is linebacker Jimmy Rolder from Michigan. He might end up being a 7th rounder or an undrafted free agent even, but he's just one of those players that brings a lot of impact and desire to the game. He's not the biggest guy, he's not the strongest guy, he's not the fastest guy, but he has production, and that's one of the reasons I see him as a possibility in the middle rounds or late rounds actually. Devin Moore, cornerback from Florida, probably not a sleeper because I think this guy's probably going to go in the 3rd round. But he had some issues with injuries throughout his first couple years that put him on the downside of draft boards, and now he's rising up again. Another guy, safety VJ Payne. He's one that he had a lot of talent coming into the draft, and he's done all right with Kansas State. He's had some key plays, some interceptions that have turned games around, and he's probably going to be another guy that could be there in the 5th and 6th round. Mm-hmm. And then my last guy is Caleb Proctor, who's a defensive tackle from Southeast Louisiana. projects to be about 4th rounder, but he's one of those small school guys that you don't know what you're going to get. But this guy was a beast in his area. So he saw action as a freshman. He had 5 tackles for losses as a freshman. And he just kept that production going throughout his career. So I see those guys being ones that you could get in the mid rounds. Like I said, again, Devin Moore's probably not going to be a late rounder. He's going to be a 3rd round pick, I think. But
well, I mean, that's okay. Middle round. I mean, that's the idea is I think the idea of this came up is the fact that more and more of these mock drafts you do, you come up with different names each time. And then you're like, oh, who's this guy? Or what's this guy? And then you find out like, oh, he's a former 5-star recruit. You got shifted around between colleges and so the idea is just, it's fun just to kind of go through and talk about the guys that you guys probably like the most, either for your team or for whatever reason. I know that's where my 5 kind of came up with is just really for me, it started off as an excuse not to draft a tackle in the 1st round. And if I could find one later on, and then you start finding other guys that you like. And it's interesting to have these conversations kind of where everybody thinks. All right. So the last one I've got, I'm not sure who put it in for 5 count, but whoever wants to spit it out, go ahead and tell us what you got.
George, that's you.
I didn't know. Well, as you can see, I have a couple different, kind of picks in there. You probably like, what the hell y'all doing? These are late round picks, people. So I got Devin Moore in there at cornerback. He's not a sleeper. He can't be. He like this dude is good. Like great tackler in space. Yeah. He can cover pretty much anybody, but the only thing is he lacks in certain size. So you can kind of catch him out of position every now and again against those bigger receivers, but he's still really, really good at the position. Oscar Delp out of Georgia. I'm going to tell you right now, if you haven't been watching, one of the main targets for Gunnar Stockton for these last few years
has
been Oscar Delp. Now, I don't know why. Well, I know exactly why. Because if you run a 4.3 40 at tight end, I'm not necessarily drafting anybody before you. So kind of putting him up higher against like Kenyon Sadiq and some of the other tight ends that kind of come up, not necessarily going to be that, run off the page. In my mind, I have an NFL comp for him, and we kind of already have him in Noah Gray. But at the same time, he could be a lot more. He's a good blocker, and he's a great catcher. So Oscar Delp, I love him. Now, Zion Young was a question mark I had written in here because, of course, Zion Young could easily go into the 2nd and 1st. Or late 1st if somebody's stupid enough to take him, and early enough in the 2nd if somebody's want to take him there. So I got him in like the late 2nd round, early 3rd kind of mark if you want to put him there. But Katron Allen, that's a real late round pick that I really, really like, simply because the running back room can be much more exciting. As a Chiefs fan, and little fact that I'll go ahead and put out here, I played football with Jamal Charles, so he reminds me a lot of Jamal in his early years before he got hurt. So at the end of the day, like Katron Allen could be lightning in the bottle because he can, once he is in open space, there's no catching him. But that's the thing. He works well within the tackles, so he's really, really good there. But with him playing at Penn State, he didn't play with earth movers. So he didn't play with a really, really good offensive line. So you don't really have a whole bunch of tape on him that explodes off the camera for you at a lot of times. He does have a little bit of an issue with some of the route running as far as him running out of the backfield as, a pass catcher for a running back. But that's not something that, Andy Reid worries about too much as far as what he likes to get out of his running back. So Katron Allen is there. And then I have Mike Washington up there because, of course, we need another receiver. That's just it. We just need another receiver, big and bad. That's just pretty much how it goes there.
Well, Mike, I like Mike Washington Jr. because you can't teach big and you can't teach fast, and he's both. Mm-hmm. And I think out of the backfield, I think he's, to me, he's a guy that, to me, I look at him, I think he's a real sleeper. I think he's going to be good in this draft as a running back.
I really love the Zion Young pick here. I'm glad he finally got some recognition. I mean, the guy is an insane athlete overall, and he's not getting talked about enough as a really good edge rusher. I think he could go, honestly, inside the top 35. Yeah, I think he challenges a lot of what these guys have. We always talk about David Bailey and Arvell Reese. I see Zion Young in that conversation.
Yeah, I think
edge 3.
Zion could be up there if Seattle doesn't trade back. I could see them definitely adding some talent.
He's definitely a Seattle type player.
I agree.
So, and Devin Moore, you guys both had Devin Moore for me. Like he keeps creeping up in every mock draft I do where he falls. Sometimes he falls to the 4th, sometimes it's the 3rd. But him and was it Everett from Georgia are both like 6'2", 3/4.
Darnell Everett, I think it
kind
is.
of play that hybrid size thing. So. All right, I'll pull up mine. Mine is going to be, it's kind of the guys that we've talked about. Deny Dennis Sutton. I don't know if
Danny.
It's not. It's Deny.
It's Deny.
Yeah, you were wrong. You made me look like an idiot.
I've always heard from other YouTubers and other people calling him Danny.
They're idiots too.
Deny.
Deny Dennis Sutton. Out of Penn State. I don't know how much you guys know about him. When he was there with Abdul Carter, he actually had more pressures the year that he played alongside of him than Carter did. He's 6'5". I had to write this down because I didn't realize he was 6'5". He's 6'5", 250, runs a 4.6 40, had a 9.96 RAS. He's got 33.5-inch arms. I mean, he played for Penn State, which obviously had their own troubles last year, but he's one of those guys, like if the Steelers end up with him, I swear to God, I'm going to see him in the backfield every Sunday.
It'll be very annoying.
Like he's that third-round pick that's going to be somewhere in that 70 to 85 range. I've got Anthony Hill Jr. We already talked about him as a 6'2", 240 linebacker who just plays sideline to sideline. You brought up a guy that you were hoping the Steelers were going to pick, Darrell Jackson Jr. out of Florida State, 6'6", 6'7", 315, 35-inch arms, and an 86-inch wingspan. This guy just moves and takes up space. I would love to have him. As a Browns fan, we've had defensive run stopping issues after we lost McLeod Collins at the end of the year, so that's where I came up with that. And then for me, it's finding tackles, and it's interesting. So I got Markel Bell and Tristan Lay. Not a lot of people talk about these guys outside the 5th-round draft pick area. Markel Bell is 6'9", 346, hasn't given up a sack in 2 years at Miami. 36.5-inch arms length. And while his run blocking suffers, he had the highest PFF pass block on the Miami offensive line. I think this dude is going to go somewhere, and if he plays for an offensive line coach that knows to do anything with that kind of size, regardless of his lack of ability, struggles with the bend, he's not going to be going against Myles Garrett every weekend. Like, the dude is going to just be a beast for somebody. And then it's funny because you talked about Ed drafting the right tackle from Clemson. His name escapes me.
Blake Miller.
Blake Miller. Tristan Lay played on the opposite side of him, and if you watch film of the offensive line for Clemson, that right side gives way a lot more than the left side. He scores terrible through PFF, and this is why I hate PFF. It's like a 50 and a 56, yet he only gave up 10 pressures and 0 sacks compared to Blake Miller's 14 pressures and 2 sacks. 6'6", 315, 34.5-inch arms, only had 4 penalties last year. Had ankle injuries, I think, and missed a couple of games last year and a couple of games before that, but he's still got 28 starts at left tackle for Clemson over the last 3 years. To me, I love the Browns to pick either of these two guys come 4th, 5th, 6th round. That'd be a home run for me. So
you're taking my sleeper there. I love Lee.
Yeah, it's interesting. I saw you. I think I messaged you. I was like, "Oh, Ball," because if anybody knows who Trevor Lee is out of Clemson, like Tristan Lee, like then, they're definitely sleeping in the back of the draft, looking for some crumbs to pick up and fill roster spots. So, all right, we can run through the sleeper spot real quick. I guess just one guy that you guys think is a deep sleeper. Go ahead. Let's start with you, Taylor. Did you have anybody? I know you didn't send it to me, but maybe you guys.
I mean, you brought up Bo Stevens, which I really love. I think if the Chargers had an opportunity to draft him, it's a slam dunk. But a guy that I've taken in the 7th round, and I think would be a huge target for Justin Herbert, is Tanner Koizil at a big tight end. I think it'd be a home run if he was on that offense. So that's my sleeper pick.
Awesome. Let's go with George. Who you got?
I went Dylan Bell because the wide receiver out of Georgia, he didn't get a lot of play. But the only thing is, when he made plays that were good in a lot of spaces that he didn't necessarily need to be in. I felt like he played not necessarily out of position a lot, but he played enough, wide receiver all over the board to go ahead and be able, all right, he can work there. He has intangibles that you can grow on as a wide receiver. You don't need him right now, but he can definitely be that 3rd or 4th wide receiver on your roster that's been consistent for a couple years. So the reason why I like sleepers like that is because you need a receiver like that to kind of be somebody who you have on your roster. Everybody kind of has one. Juwan Jennings kind of brings up a name that the San Francisco 49ers had for a while that they didn't draft really high, but he stayed on the roster for a long period of time. So Dylan Bell reminds me of somebody like that.
All right. Eric, you got a familiar name. Who's your sleeper?
Yeah, I'm going to throw a little curveball on her because Scott brought mine up with VJ Payne, and I love this guy. I think he's a good. I actually did. I found out about him at the combine, and the combine makes you go back and look at tape one way or the other. And it made me go back and watch tape of VJ Payne, and he's going to be good. And when I want to throw a curveball out here because I found out about him last night because my buddy, we said we did our 7-round mock last night, and I did not realize how athletic this dude is. But Cole Payton, the quarterback out of North Dakota, right? North Dakota State, excuse me.
Oh, man.
Listen, 6'3", 232, a 4.56, a 40-inch vertical.
Wow.
He has a 1.157 10-yard split, a broad jump of 130 inches, over 10-foot broad jump. I mean, what?
Yeah, right.
Obviously, he's going to be a project at the NFL level, but that is like Taysom Hill number 2, maybe.
Wow.
But that dude is uber athletic, a lefty, and the Steelers brought him in for a top 30 pick, or a top 30 visit. But he's just on his athleticism alone. Somebody might get a gem with this kid.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. All right, who do we got left? Chris, who you got?
I went with Malik Benson, the receiver out of Oregon. I just think when you're picking in the later rounds, you kind of want to get guys who have a lot of physical traits that you like. And this guy had 6 touchdowns last year. 5 of the 6 were over 40 yards. He's a burner, 4.37, I think, at the combine, running the 40-yard dash. So he's just a guy, I think, if it's a later round, then you want a guy who can kind of, have a lot of upside for a later round pick. I think he's a good guy to target if you need a receiver kind of later in the draft.
Awesome. And Scott, go ahead. Tell us about it.
I had Tristan Lee. Clemson, they disappointed on both the offensive and defensive lines as a whole last year. But Tristan Lee played really well when he was in there. I got to see a lot of their games. I'm actually in the Charlotte area as the rest of our podcast, and we. We've watched him play, and he's impressed. Now he's probably going to be an undrafted free agent, but if he is, watch him go into Atlanta, Carolina, or DC. Now he or the Commanders. He grew up in Virginia, and he was the Virginia Player of the Year his senior year in high school. Guy's a mountain though. 6'6", 315. He's got the size. He's got to work on his technique, but that's the kind of guy that's going to be a sleeper. He's got the dimensions to be very good.
Yeah, the other thing that I liked about him too is like 3 or 4 of the people like talk about how nasty he is when he's run blocking too. So I thought that was another thing. I like a guy that's going to get in there and just maybe bite you when you're on the pile. You know what I mean? Put a little hurt on you. So
a bite.
My sleeper that I put in here is you talked about USC and their pass defense has been atrocious, Taylor, over the last couple of years. But Damani Jackson was a 5-star recruit out of SoCal, played a year at USC, looked lost on the field, went to Alabama, had significant improvement in his play. He's great one-on-one, but he's terrible at reading the play. He's terrible as far as reading the run, reading where the blockers are going to go, and then also in the zone coverage, he gets lost. But if he gets drafted by a team like Cleveland or others out there that play a lot of man-to-man coverage and press coverage, he's got great size, great speed. And like I said, a 5-star recruit out of high school. The guy knows how to play ball. He's just, maybe not the smartest tool in the tool shed.
Is he coachable, though? That goes back to the same conversation we had earlier. Is he coachable?
Yeah, that's always the ending answer. Ed, you got a sleeper for us?
I got one sleeper here. I don't think in terms of he's going to be in the mid-rounds, but a guy I think needs more attention. His name's D'Angelo Ponce, cornerback from Indiana. Regardless of what anybody says about him,
he's like 5'9".
He's 5'8" and 3/4, I believe, or 5'8" and 5/8.
Yeah.
The kid is just insane. Baller. He's got the speed. You take a guess for me. He didn't compete at the combine. What do you think his 40-yard time was?
I don't know, dude. 4.33.
No, 4.2. I think it was 4.28.
Oh, wow.
I mean, the kid is insanely fast.
Wow.
He's an over 40-inch vertical. And we're talking, again, not a guy that's 6 feet tall. He's barely over 5 feet or 5'8" inches. He reminds me of an old cornerback, one of my favorites, Brent Grimes. Played in Atlanta and played in Miami. Just similar setup, similar build, kind of what he had. He's faster. He can jump higher. I think the kid's going to succeed. I don't think he's going to get enough attention. He was an animal in Indiana. And I think if you want to see what a great corner looks like that needs some attention, you go watch some tape from D'Angelo Ponce.
Right on.
All right, let's get into this final segment before the mock draft. We'll go through this very quickly. So we'll start off with you, Taylor. Top 10. Let's hear who's your favorite, who's overrated, who's a bust, who you're out on, and who you're locked in on as far as a top 10.
So one of the guys I really like in the top 10, and it's borderline top 10, is Dylan Thieneman out of Oregon. I thought his combine was just off the charts. His overall grade last year, according to PFF, was 91. He ran a 4.35 the combine, so I really like him. Someone I'm not sold on. I'm not going to say bust, but I'm not sold on, and it's based on the stuff that's come out of the combine, is Caleb Banks out of Florida. I know he has the athletic ability, but the injuries concern me, and I'm just not sure that he's going to live up to his potential with the injuries that he continues to have. I know the athletic traits are there, just I'm not sure if it's going to come all together in the NFL.
Gotcha. And then do you have a bust in the top 10?
I do not have a bust. I only have my top 10 prospect and then not sold on.
Okay. Anybody that you're completely out on as a top 10 pick, if you were in the top 10, I guess.
I haven't done – I'm not in the top 10 as a Chargers fan, so I don't – whatever happens in the top 10, it's not relevant to me.
Makes sense.
So I've been focusing on who's going to fall to 22 for the Chargers at this point.
All right, let's go through this as quick as we can here. Big George, what you got for the top 10? Who's your favorite? Who's overrated? Who's a bust?
Overrated? I'm going to start right there. In my mind, y'all love Malachi Lemon. He's just mechanically, he just doesn't do it for me. It's like he's one of those receivers that is really, really good. He has all the intangibles that are there, but it's just, for me, something about him just says, yeah, you might be a glorified two. And that's not a bad thing. It's just that being this high touted in the draft, you more likely want somebody to be your one. And of course, I think that, he's not going to be that top 10 prospect that you would have expected him to be. I just don't think so. Now, of course, there is the who I think would be a bust, and this might shock y'all too. Carnell Tate. I don't like Carnell Tate because I feel like the best receiver on that team made him better. There was not Carnell Tate without Jeremiah Smith's name being mentioned first. Say that how you want to, but that junior is going to be the best receiver out of Ohio State in the last 10 years.
Yeah, I don't know that. I don't think he's going to be a bust. I think that my concern with him is that he doesn't know what it's like to be a number one receiver, right? Like he hasn't had to go. Mm-hmm. He hasn't had to have the coverage rolled to him. He hasn't had double coverage on him because of all the attention that Jeremiah Smith had. Mm-hmm. The same thing before that. He had JSN, and before that. Exactly. So I get the concern, but at the same point in time, the dude's open and he can catch the ball and contesting at the highest point. So I have a hard time seeing it. Let's go. Let's move on to Eric.
So my sure thing is, and I'm going to just keep the consistency with Jeremiah Love. I think he's the surest thing. I'm in the top 10. My bust, and it's a double because I cannot get 2 years out of my head, is Fernando Mendoza. Pitt kicked his tail when he was a cow 2 years ago.
Yeah.
And where he played well in Indiana were the clutch moments. Right, he played well in clutch moments, but there are spots a lot of times in the games where Indiana didn't have that defense, or they in that game. Yeah. Now, props to him for playing well in the clutch, but you're talking about does Tate know how to be a number one? Does Mendoza know how to carry a professional franchise? Remains to be seen. I'm not saying a guaranteed bust, but I'm cause for pause with for Mendoza.
Yeah, I'm right there with you. I thought when the Raiders originally traded Max Crosby, I thought they were going to trade out of that one pick and then just load up for next year. So when that failed and they had to, obviously they're stuck with this one pick, it's going to be Mendoza. I think the same thing. Obviously, they had talent around him. They had a team built around him. They had a defense built around him. He never had to come back from 2 touchdowns down in the fourth quarter. He just didn't have to screw it up in the fourth quarter.
Yep, right.
We'll see what happens with him, but I'm just glad the Browns don't have the first overall pick, and we're not talking about taking him.
He never played to win. He always played to never lose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll
he
see.
made a drive, not multiple drives, like you guys were saying, and coming
Right.
back, bringing a team back. So I agree. I mean, I like the kid, but I just don't know about him in the in his as the number one pick.
Yeah.
I'm gonna tell you, the guy I'm really high on, I actually have him rated as a top 10 player, and I hear what everybody was saying too. So it's gonna depend on where he goes, and that is Sadiq from Oregon.
Yeah.
I just think he is such a matchup nightmare because he's like a bigger version of Shannon Sharp. So I'm really high on him. I think he can end up being maybe the second or third best player in this draft in a few years. So whoever gets him, better not be Baltimore, because then I'm gonna start moving furniture in the house.
Oh man,
but you know what? He's gonna be a very, very good player.
End up. Yeah, I like Sadiq in the sense of his, like, I've seen some of his highlights. I haven't done a lot of like looking back, and the only thing that I was concerned with or not concerned with, but I did hear is that he had problems with drops, right? Which that reminds me of Njoku, like here in Cleveland when we first drafted him. Like the dude was an athletic freak for a tight end at that point, but he had a problem with drops.
He had stones.
He could make the most amazing the back corner of the end zone on the sideline, and then drop 4th and 3 slot across the middle that was wide open. So I don't know if that's a good. Yeah, right. I don't know if that's a good comp, but we'll see what happens because I do think he has the potential. All right, let's go to let's see, Scott. What you got for favorite and most overrated or bust?
My favorite is Downs. Little known fact, I think we've talked about him too much tonight, but he's also the son of Gary Downs, former running back for the Giants and a couple other teams. Player I'm not sold on is Jordan Tyson. I think he's got some injury concerns. I just don't see him being the elite player that he's being touted to be. And then the player I think that could bust, and this is probably a little controversial, I think Arvell Reese. He's a tweener in my mind, and you know, if Arizona takes him, it'll be fine because they took Isaiah Simmons before him, and we saw how that worked out.
Yeah, you know, you put Arvell Reese. I think Arvell Reese won't be. I think he'll be overdrafted. I don't think he'll be a bust. But I did a comp on him. We did a talk about a week or two ago. Me and Ed and Eric. You'll appreciate this. I think he's Greg Lloyd.
That's a good call.
Yeah,
Arvell Reese is better than Greg Lloyd. I think.
No, he's Greg Lloyd in his prime. If he plays,
Greg Lloyd in his prime was a problem.
Yeah, but
he's a real issue.
So that's where it comes to Arvell Reese, a defense like who was the defense? Was that Capers back then that ran that 3-4? But it's got to be a 3-4 defense where he is playing off the ball and he's not the only one blitzing. If he goes to somewhere where they expect him to play a wide 9 edge, I think he's just gonna get disappeared out of the league like Vernon Golston.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I was clearly born way after this time.
Yeah.
I clearly am showing my age, but having no idea.
All right, I think I got John. Is that the last one left? And then Chris. Let's go through who you love, who's your favorite, who's overrated, who you think might bust in the top 10.
It's pretty easy for me. I love Ruben Bain. Overrated is Jordan Tyson. I think the injury concerns would scare me away. And the bust, I'm gonna Fernando Mendoza. I mean, not only just because of everything that was said, and you know, he's not a great quarterback draft, and that always leads to, well, you know, how's it end up? It's the Raiders. It's the Raiders. And if anybody's gonna botch it, if anything, it's gonna be the Raiders. Like, this is the ultimate Raiders pick. This is like, you know what happened with Jamarcus Russell. I'm not saying he's him, of course, but I think it's going to be a bust, and it's going to be Mendoza.
Oh man, Chris, what about you, brother? Favorite, most overrated, likely to bust?
I agree with Ruben Bain. I think he deserves so much more love. Like, if he somehow fell to the Cowboys at 12, like, I would be distraught, because I think he's going to be a really good player. I think, the arm length, he's not going to maybe be a dominant edge, but I just think he's a really good player. I think if you watch his tape, he blows people up. So I like Ruben Bain a lot. Overrated. I mean, this guy might be a giant, but I'm going to stick with it. I think Sonny Styles is a little overrated.
Damn it.
I think if you
Took mine.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you look at if you watch his season this year, first of all, he was a safety 2 years ago. He's transitioning. People have done that before, but I do think it's interesting that up until the last couple games, you watch the tape and like the instincts are not great. He gets washed out in the run game at times.
Yep.
He's an unbelievable athlete. Right. He's an unbelievable athlete. But I mean, like, to me, like, Caleb Downs is just so much better of a player than Sonny Styles. So I that's my overrated. And then bust, I know, Scott, you kind of brought this up. Jordan Tyson, I'm just really concerned. Like, I think he's rising up boards at the end of this process. And I don't know. I mean, the guy's had a ton of injuries. I mean, he tore up his knee a couple of years ago. He hasn't played a full season yet in college, or I don't think he has yet. So I think he could bust. I don't see any like obvious busts though. So, but he would be my guy that I would say that he's going to get overdrafted to me.
Yeah, you stole a little bit of.
He has that free talent though. He's got that talent, that freak talent.
For sure. I think he's the most talented receiver in this class. Like, to me, if you're looking for a swinger receiver, it's not Carnell Tate who's going to be like a number 2. I think Tyson has got the upside, but I do think there's downside. That's what I'd say.
I think Carnell Tate would be if he would have ran a 4.42, I think everybody would be talking about him as a solid number 1. I think that 4.5 speed scares somebody, which is kind of crazy. We did a conversation about wide receivers like Jerry Rice, who ran a 4.7 back in his 40 days. So it's like, I mean, obviously the NFL's changed, the athletes have changed, but that'll get into. So my favorite, I've got a toss up. I think the 2 lockdowns are going to be Caleb Downs or Jeremiah Love. I'd be happy if the Browns took either of them. I think those are the 2 best players in this draft. Non-premium positions, I think, is the only reason they're not going 1 and 2. For me, overrated and bust are 2 in the same. I've got Arvell Reese as overrated, and I've got Sonny Styles as my bust. People are falling in love with Sonny Styles. He was outside the top 10 until his combine, right? And then his measurements were off the chart. But I mean, if you watch that Ohio State Miami football game, both those guys were completely out of the game, completely disappeared. Miami ran that ball right up the gut. In fact, there's a point where he literally gets bulldozed in the hole, and Sonny Styles goes 4 steps back, and the guy runs for another 25 yards. I don't think 6'6", 6'7" in the NFL at 235, 240 at the middle linebacker / outside linebacker position, to me, doesn't just, it puts him in an awkward position. You guys, I don't know if you remember all the hype around, and a guy that he was my favorite player coming out of the draft that year was Isaiah Simmons, who was a safety / linebacker with 4.3 speed at 220 coming out, ended up playing a couple of years for the Giants. He might still be there. But
I think he was on the Packers.
He's on the Packers.
Yeah. But Sonny Styles and Arvell Reese, to me, it's crazy because if you're talking about the best off-ball linebackers in this draft, it's C.J. Allen and Anthony Hill Jr. If you're talking about the best defensive ends, it's David Bailey and Reuben Bain. So why, like, these guys are tweeners that could or could not make it, but ultimately don't really fit in the new NFL unless they play for that perfect scheme. We'll see what plays out on that aspect. And I think the sneaky person in this draft is Reuben Bain. I think people are sleeping on him too much because of that arm length. If he had 34-inch arms, that dude probably his intelligence is far more above David Bailey's when it comes to the run. So, Ed, who do you got for your favorite, overrated, most likely to bust? Do you got any names for me?
Favorite, I would have to say. I mean, I won't put him at 6, but Caleb Downs.
Yeah,
I think he's been the best defense player in the country. He's such a fun player to watch and look at. Mm-hmm. Not so much overrated, but somebody I'm out on. I don't know why, and I can't really put my finger on it. I don't know. I don't get a very comfortable feeling from David Bailey. Maybe it's me just not spending too much time looking at it, mostly because I don't think he's going to be there at 6. I don't know. I don't get a very confident sense that I think he's going to transition well to the NFL. Again, it's more of just a feeling rather than like an actual statistical thing with me when it comes to that. And somebody I'm going to bust on, honestly, looking at it, Sonny Styles. Yeah. I hate to say it, as a die fucking hard Ohio State guy. Yeah, I mean, I don't think he's going to really do a ton when it comes to the NFL level. I think you pointed out his arm tackling a couple weeks ago. That's all I can kind of see now.
Yeah.
It's like, and you point out like, oh, I want to see a red car. And that's all you notice is red cars.
Yeah.
You said arm tackling. And that's all I can see now on the film is the arm tackling. So
he does that at issue.
All right, guys, let's get down to this last part. This should take 10 minutes. Hopefully we've not gone too far over and you guys are all good. Nobody said I have to go, so that's a good thing. So what I did is I just had ChatGPT randomize the order, so you guys won't know what order you're picking in until your time is up. No trades, no anything in this mock draft. We're gonna create a creator's mock draft here that we're gonna measure up and see how it does. So I'll give the first pick, Raiders. Chris, you got the easy one.
Yeah, Fernando Mendoza will be their pick. So yeah.
All right, Eric, you got the Jets.
Oh shit. You know what? I don't have to get these names in here, man. Hold on. Let me get some of these. I thought you were gonna have a board we can reference on this, man.
Yeah.
You know what? The Jets. They need a little bit of everything. I'm just gonna go ahead and give them Caleb Downs. They're gonna screw something up. I'm gonna throw a left turn in this right away.
Wow, I love it. All right, Taylor, you got the Cardinals at 3.
Let's go Jeremiah Love.
Wow, yeah.
Yikes.
I love it.
All right, Titans are Scott.
I'm taking Carnell Tate.
Oh, I like that one. I
Oh,
think
you
that's where
go.
he's
The
going.
defensive head coach goes with an offensive player. Okay.
All right. Oh shit, I got the Giants. If the Giants are at 5, I think they're taking Reese if he's still available.
I mean, that would be crazy.
You got the Browns.
I got the Browns at 6.
Shit, if you take fucking Caleb Williams again, I swear to God,
I'm
dude.
not gonna do that. I'm not gonna do that. Oh fuck, dude.
Draft a
Mansfield
kicker.
Delane.
Oh, Delane. All right.
Mansfield Delane at 6.
Somebody say kicker. Is that the Steelers?
Kicker.
All right, Chris, you got the Commanders.
Yeah, this is a tough one.
Yeah, the rival.
Is David Bailey still available?
He is.
Yes.
I'll go him. I don't think he should be this far down, so I'll go Bailey for the.
All right, Saints, Eric.
They need. I'm gonna go. They got that young quarterback who can't really run very well. Give them Spencer Fano.
Oh, okay.
Fano, that's a good pick.
Fano, yeah.
Chiefs, Taylor.
Let's see. The
9.
Chiefs need some help.
Nice.
I think I'm gonna be nice. I'm gonna be nice. I think they need some help in the secondary, so I'll give them a Dylan Thieneman.
Ooh,
That's a good pick.
Interesting.
That's a very sleeper pick right there. He's awesome.
All right, Scott, you got your team, the Giants at 10. What are you doing? You picked up Reese at 5.
I'm taking Francis Mauigoa, offensive
Maui.
tackle guard.
All right. All right. Oh shit. I got the Dolphins at 11. Oh man, I'm gonna hurt the Cowboys' feelings here. All right, I'm taking Tyson if he's still there.
Okay.
Tyson at 11 to the Dolphins. Cowboys are. Oh, that's you, Ed.
Sonny Styles.
Oh dang, he's still on the board.
Yeah.
Wow, the Cowboys would be so happy. Rams are to Chris.
Mekhi Lemon. I think it's a good fit. They already have a number 1.
Damn, that's such a good fit. That's a terrible.
Yeah.
That would be the worst case scenario is for Matt Stafford to have a young kid like that.
Well,
on the
this will
team.
be fun. Eric, you got the Ravens.
A punter.
A placeholder.
You know what? Honestly, I'm gonna give them Tate just to give Lamar Jackson more weapons.
No, Tate's gone.
Is Tate gone?
Yeah, Tate went forward to the Titans.
So Tate,
Oh.
Tyson, and
Tate?
Lemon are gone.
Yeah.
All righty. Then I'm gonna go down the thing here. Give me 1 second. Sorry.
That's all right.
I do want to give them. I think it makes sense for them to get a receiver. I have a big board over here. You know what? This guy is coming up the draft a little bit now. He has some special teams thing as well. Give Casey Concepcion from Texas A&M.
Good pick right there. That's a good pick.
God, I hope he does not end up in Cleveland.
I hope he
All
doesn't
right.
end up there either.
Taylor, you got the Bucks sitting at 15.
Oh, the Bucks. Let's give him Kenyon Sadiq.
Ooh,
wow.
Giving Baker a little bit of
Yeah,
That's
I mean,
a good pick for Tampa.
Yeah, that's a great
yeah,
weapon.
because
to
they
have.
lost Evans too this year. So
Yeah.
put the
Yep.
6'6" receiver out there. So, all right, the Jets are falling to Scott.
Did Sadiq get picked?
Right, just this second.
Oh, I'm taking Ione from Penn State, the guard.
Big Ione, yep.
Oh, you
Has Bain been picked yet?
Nope.
No,
No, he
Bain
hasn't
has not been.
Bain has not been
How did
picked
that
yet.
happen? All right, I'm going with the Lions.
give it to him.
Gosh, who's the corner?
Monroe Freeling, baby.
No,
They need an offensive
I know they
lineman.
need Freeling, but I think they need corner now more. Who's the corner from Tennessee? Missed
McCoy?
last year.
Yeah,
Yeah,
McCoy.
McCoy. I think
Also,
McCoy.
I think
Gerard
Jared
McCoy.
McCoy is going to be a huge bust. You're talking Justin Gilbert, Caleb Farley status right there.
Oh wow.
All season.
All right, Ed, you got the Vikings at 18.
Vikings, they need safety help, and Thieneman and Downs are both gone. So scratch that.
You have McNeil Warren still on the board.
Yeah.
This is true. Toledo kid right there. I think he's going to go in the second round.
Yeah.
I don't think
Good
that's
call.
a good. I don't think that's a good pick in the first round. They don't need a receiver, obviously. Fuck. Who am I thinking of here?
It's safety.
Yeah. No. I mean, yeah. I guess go Neil Warren.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my only name that's popping into my head because I don't think. I mean, they always could use offensive linemen, but it's boring.
All right, Chris, back to you for the Panthers at 19.
I'll go Keldrick Falk, the defensive end.
Yeah, I like that pick.
Him and Akeem Mesidor continue to intrigue me. I want to see. I want to see these guys in action.
Eric, you got the Cowboys at 20.
Give them defense. Give them T.J. Parker from Clemson.
That's a great pick.
Man, Falk and Parker are two guys that could have been inside the top 10. And I don't know what happened.
They
to
just
them
fell
both
off.
last
T.J.
year.
Parker just had a down year.
All right, Steelers. Taylor, you get to pick for the Steelers. What are you going to do to our boy over here?
I'll make him happy. I'll draft Omar Cooper Jr.
Ah, good pick.
We'll take it. Thank you.
All right, Scott, you got the Chargers.
I'm gonna give the Chargers the Clemson guy that didn't perform as well as our sleeper, Blake Miller.
All right, I got the Eagles 23.
We do need some offensive line help. We don't know the history of AJ
They need a
Brown
wide
coming up.
receiver too. I wonder if this is
Concepcion, Tyson Cooper, and Tate are all gone. So you're down to 5. So you got like Denzel Boston area.
I don't know how they stand on their offensive line.
Well, it's Lane Johnson, and he's going to retire soon.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
Freeling the
it's-
tackle from.
Yeah, I was
Georgia.
going to say Monroe Freeling right here.
Damn you! That was going to be my pick.
I know that's why I took him. Fuck, the Browns are not
Fuck
taking
you.
a tackle in the first round. All right, go ahead. You got the Browns
At 24?
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. Give me Caleb Lomu.
Oh my
Left tackle.
God,
University
dude.
of Utah, baby.
Fuck. All right, Chris, you got the Bears at 25.
I'm gonna go Caden McDonald here. I think they really need a defensive tackle, and there's really no other first round defensive tackle. So I'm gonna go him.
Man, that fell right into your lap. Eric, you got the Bills.
Let's see.
I know, right?
They still need some help on defense too. Which Tennessee corner went? Was it McCoy?
Yeah, McCoy, Jamon
So,
McCoy.
and they got Hood still out there, isn't he?
Yeah,
Hood is still out
Yeah,
there.
I'm gonna give them Hood just to solidify some. I think they lost some defensive players in the offseason, so
No,
I'll
you
give
got
them
Michael
Hood.
Hairston and Colton Hood holding it down on that front.
Yep.
Mhm.
All right, 49ers are to Taylor. Oh, that's a tough pick.
They need wide receiver help. They can always use some line defense.
Let's see. I think is Mesidor still on the board?
He is still.
Yeah.
available.
Yeah, I'll get Mesidor.
Yeah, that's a great pick for them because
He's a little bit older, isn't he? Like 25.
Yeah, he's 25.
Why
Yeah.
does everybody care so much? He's 25.
Okay. Anyway, keep going. Well, that's a whole nother egg of conversation that we need to have later. on.
All right, Texans fall to Scott.
That's a tough one.
You still don't have questions on CJ Stroud. That defense is looking really good. They did lose Titus Howard.
Yeah, I was looking at Ty Simpson here, but I think I'm gonna go C.J. Allen.
It's a good
Oh,
pick.
CJ
It's a
Allen.
good pick.
Can I suggest one for the Chiefs pick?
You can suggest anything. Actually, I have that pick right now. Go ahead.
Ruben Bain Jr.
Dane Jr. Because I don't know how you feel at 29. I don't know how you feel at 29. I don't know. I was sitting up there like everybody pick everybody else. Go ahead. Go ahead.
You know what? I'd be a fool if Bane Jr. fucking
Oh my
dropped to the
God, at
29.
29?
First of all, I kick your ass for not drafting him at 24.
We don't need an edge rusher at
You don't-
24.
Well, you
And if
don't
y'all look
ask
at the
him.
draft that y'all have written down, we got what Caleb Downs and
No,
Ruben
Downs was
Bain?
taken. Downs was
Downs was
taken.
picked.
What did the Browns
Okay.
take at 6?
All right, Dolphins are up next, Ed.
Who did they take in their previous pick?
Dolphins took Tyson. I took him.
Okay. I'm gonna go defensive side of the ball. Give me Jacob Rodriguez out of Texas Tech.
Wow, that is so early.
I like him a lot. I've been on that Jacob Rodriguez train since the second week of the season.
Me too. Me too.
He's a
Absolutely.
dog. He misses some tackles, but the kid is an
Hey.
animal.
I'm just
All
going
right,
to say this: the Steelers have the Texas Tech linebacker coach on staff.
Ooh.
I'm gonna hate myself if he shows up there.
All right, Patriots. Chris, you got the Patriots, and then we got Eric with the Seahawks.
I'll go Emmanuel McNeil Warren for them. I think
Already
he might
gone.
go to the
Gone.
Steelers. Oh, he's gone. He's gone.
gone.
Is Caden Proctor still there?
He is, yeah.
I will go Caden Proctor.
That's a good pick
Campbell
for
had a
them.
tough Super Bowl game, so I'll get them another tackle.
There you go. All right, Eric, finish us off. Seahawks.
So they lost some corners, and this guy is actually creeping up in possible first round. But give me Chris Johnson out of San Diego State to the Seahawks.
Damn. He's great, and I'm really loving Traden Stukes too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those two are really high on my board.
Yep.
I really like both of them.
Awesome. Well, hey guys, hope you guys had a good time tonight. I had a blast. Appreciate you guys all joining for the hundreds of people that have been joining throughout this. I mean, I think I've seen up to 200 at one given point. Hopefully you like and subscribe to all the channels that took place in this, and maybe we could do it again after the draft. Love to hear you guys' opinions on how your team did, and if you guys ever want to have us on, we're happy to do so and join you guys, but we appreciate you guys taking part. It was really last minute. Hopefully you guys had a good time, and thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks, guys. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you.
Yeah, it was a
Appreciate
blast.
it.
Awesome. This
Love
was a lot of
talking to
fun.
everybody.
Awesome, guys. Well, hey, you guys have a good afternoon. Good luck to your teams on the draft, and we'll talk to you after this.
All right, guys. Take care, everybody.
All right, bye, guys. Thanks for watching,
See you guys.
everybody.